Today on Dr. Phil. They call their ex a compulsive liar.
Widower, millionaire. You make women believe you're somebody you're not.
It's time that you get held accountable for what you've done.
Children, women, you con everyone.
Asking me to have sex with you after we had broken up because you claimed that you had cancer.
You are literally a cancer.
Is a life of deception.
He told her that you were racist.
That's a flat out lie.
How does that feel?
About to catch up with him.
His ex-wife, who he claimed was dead, is alive. What she has to say. Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Well, yesterday, I sat down with Tiffany and Sheikah, who accused their ex-boyfriend Eric of being a liar and a con man. Now, they said Eric told them he was a millionaire and promised to buy them luxury cars and mansions. But those were lies, he told, which they say reminded them of well-known con artist and criminal Dirty John Meehan. Now, Eric admitted he lied, but claimed he never intended to scam Tiffany and Sheikah. Well, here's what happened yesterday.
Eric told me he went to Stanford University. He played for the 49ers. I was completely amazed by all of the things that he had done. Eric is a complete con man. He's a fraud. He lied to me about everything. I felt like it was a scene out of the TV show Dirty John. After we had been together for about a year, I found out that I was pregnant. I was not happy. All Eric was a stack of lies and empty promises.
He's like a locust. He goes from place to place and person to person, sucking all of the resources out of whatever it is. And once he gets everything that he wants, he's on to the next.
Tiffany is not the only person from Eric's past. Another ex-girlfriend is here.
I feel like Eric is the con man who's mastered the art of manipulation. Eric even said that he had cancer and it was in remission, and that was a lie. I felt betrayed, and I felt that he has some serious mental health issues. But I went out and purchased a gun. Eric is capable of anything.
Well, I made a list of lies he told you as well. Mother was out of the country, but told you he was dead. But he was inheriting millions.
He told me he had already inherited millions from his grandfather, who was in organized crime before he passed away.
There's a much darker pathology here than just a pathological liar. He is absolutely uncaring about what that's going to do to you. He hasn't seen Tiffany in over 3 years and says, as for Sheikah, she is just as much a liar as he is.
I've let a lot of people down because of my chronic lying. It makes me feel guilty and sad. My hope is that somebody can tell me what's wrong with me.
How do you feel seeing Tiffany right now?
It's hard because I know that I hurt her. We have a son together.
If you have a son together, why haven't you seen her for 3 years?
Tiffany cut all contact off with me. She warned me, if you don't start telling me the truth, I'm gonna be done with you. Completely justified.
This was not about you telling the truth. This was about you establishing paternity if you genuinely wanted to be a father to your son. You didn't even bother to show up for the appointment so that you could sign the birth certificate. Let's call a spade a spade.
You have 4 kids that you know about.
Yes, we video
But
chat
you
and
haven't
whatnot.
seen your sons in 11 years, and you have 6 or more kids. It's not just 4. You probably have at least 20 children. You probably got someone pregnant while you were here. Nothing's funny. Nothing is funny. It's not funny at all.
So when did Eric begin to lie and deceive people? His mom says she knows exactly how it all started.
I received a call from a young woman, and she says, does he have a private plane and a runway? I said, no. I said, Eric is unemployed and lives in my basement.
He has a problem. This isn't something that a normal person does. He lies constantly.
We know that. Are you telling me that when you are walking this woman and this woman through these big mansions and telling them you're going to buy them this house and bringing in contractors and doing all this, when you're doing that, you full well know that's never going to happen, correct?
Absolutely.
All right, so my point is, when you're doing that, you are showing an utter and reckless disregard for the feelings and emotional well-being of other people. It's not just lying. You are showing a lack of empathy, caring, and feeling for somebody else. You're creating a hero moment for you and paying no attention or concern to the fact that it's going to hit the wall and they are going to be devastated, betrayed, and in emotional collapse and turmoil because they have believed in someone that had no intention, was lying when you said it, knew it was never going to happen, and gave no regard or consideration to the impact it would have on someone else.
I would have to agree with that, absolutely.
Okay, that's the pathology. The lying is just the tool to get there. Now, I'm asking why you have such vicious disregard for this woman and this woman that you would want to hurt them that bad.
And this woman.
I never saw it the way you just explained it. I never looked at Tiffany and said, you know what, I want to hurt this woman.
Okay, well then answer me this. Answer me this. Then play this out for me. What did you think was going to be her internal dialogue when she found out that that was all a lie? She wasn't going to move into that house. You weren't going to, you didn't close on it the way you said, that all of those dreams, all of those plans, all just a scam, a con, a lie. What did you think her internal dialogue was going to be?
I never thought that it would come to that. I always thought that...
No, wait a minute. No. We just covered the fact that you knew when you were walking through that house, you were never going to buy that house. You were living in your mother's basement or whatever. You knew you didn't have the money to buy, you couldn't pay the utilities in that house, let alone the down payment or the mortgage or the taxes. You knew you would never buy that house. You knew it when you were walking through it. So don't tell me you didn't know that it would ever come to that. You knew you would never buy that house. You knew she would never sleep a night in that house when you were walking through it telling her it was one day going to be hers.
What I mean by I didn't mean that it would come to that. I never thought out the process of eventually, hey, this isn't gonna be able to happen, and then how is that gonna affect her? I never thought about how it would affect her and that it would hurt her. I don't know if it's a situation where, you know, obviously I lied and I led her on, and she didn't deserve that. Nobody deserves that at all.
So you're telling me that you're so immature that you never thought far enough ahead that this is going to hit a wall and she is going to be faced with, that Sheikah is going to be faced with the reality that their dreams, their commitments, their plans have all been a facade, a fantasy.
I just never thought about the consequences of it. I didn't care how it would affect me. But
that's really immature to say you haven't even thought of that. But yet, having transgressed in that way, you sit here self-righteously and sanctimoniously reading her the riot act.
Nobody's reading. I'm not trying to read her the riot act.
I've done
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Y, and then to play semantic and say, well, I didn't do Z. I didn't do Z. That's not really fair. I'm not here to debate. What I'm here for is to say I have a problem, and I would like to have it fixed.
No,
you lie about
you're right,
everything.
Sheikah, you're right. You guys don't have the market cornered on heartbreak.
This isn't about heartbreak. This is about manipulation. It's about time that you get held accountable for what you've done.
He said that he was going to buy me a house. He was going to buy me a car. He was going to marry me.
Marriage, yes. House, yes. Car. He actually finally bought me a car, and then they came and repossessed it. Did he say he played for the 49ers?
Yes.
Stanford.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
3 master's degrees.
Oh, yeah. Did he tell you that his mother passed away?
No. She was still alive, but he wasn't talking to her anymore.
Yeah, he said that she was dead and gone, and then I found her on Facebook.
He told me that he was just part owner in some resorts.
And you planned a trip to go and never did?
It never happened.
Oh, wait a minute. Helicopter pilot?
Yes.
So did he talk about Rosa?
Yes.
The nanny?
His imaginary maid. Rosa was supposed to be bringing my engagement ring from California.
You got an engagement ring?
No, she never showed.
There's not a lick of truth in anything he told me.
He told me that his ex-wife was killed by a drunk driver, and that wasn't true. And he told me that he was a wonderful father, and that wasn't true either.
He never really said, I'm sorry. It was just another lie to cover the lies.
When I think about Eric, he's the biggest ass I've ever met in my life.
I concur. I think
Yes.
I agree 100%.
Yes. You con businesses, you con hospitals, you con children, women, you con everyone. You're like a cancer. You lie and say you have cancer, but you are literally a cancer. And if people do not get away from you, they will not survive. You do not care about yourself. You don't care about anyone.
No,
you
he
lie
doesn't.
about
You're right,
everything.
Chica. You're right. He doesn't. You know, you guys don't have the market cornered on heartbreak here.
But it's
I mean, I've lived
matter,
it.
but you're taking
This
up
is
for
not
him.
about heartbreak.
It's
This
about-
is about
take up for him. You don't need
premeditated
to
lies
take up
that
for
have been
him.
told over and over and
To me
over
as
again to
well.
multiple women over and over again.
His
There is
mother as
nothing
well.
unique that you tell any single woman. We sat and we compared stories. As a matter of fact, Sheikah would call me and she'd say, Eric just told me this. I said, all right, be ready because he's going to tell you this next. And then she'd come back and say, you know what? He did exactly what you said. You don't have anything original that you give anybody. So I don't understand how we can make the excuse that this is about heartbreak. This isn't about heartbreak.
It's not
This is about
just heartbreak.
manipulation.
You bet it
This
is.
is about
He even gave us a
You
sample
bet it
tape.
is.
manipulation.
I
This is not
experienced
heartbreak.
it
This
as
isn't
well.
about hurt feelings.
I
I
experienced
said he
it
was
as
a
well.
lazy liar. There are common lies that he tells everybody, and I made a list of them because I've talked to different women. Lost wallet and ID, widower and 2 kids, nanny, from California, millionaire, NFL, 49ers, Stanford grad, Google, owns restaurants, owns real estate, last name Williams. I mean, you kind of have a shtick you run on everybody, right? You've worked this out.
Obviously.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that I necessarily worked it out.
You worked it out.
It's a situation. I lied. I did wrong. I didn't come here to the Dr. Phil show to get a free trip to LA. I came here because
Yes, you did. It was a free place
No,
to
he
stay and
didn't.
free
Will you
food.
stop?
It was. Can I
stop?
It's a free place to stay.
I
You make me
understand.
stop.
I
You do
understand that you want it to be all about you because you're hurt, and that's
Oh,
fine.
no, it's
whatever.
not all about
I didn't
me.
come
It's all
here-
about saving
I didn't-
someone, 'cause I
didn't
think that
come
you're
here-
capable of murder.
I did
That's
not
what it's
come
about.
here
You're a
for
sociopath.
a free trip. I knew that I was going to get ran over, and justifiably so. I hurt people, I've lied, I've done all of these things. I came here, I was hoping that I would be able to get some help. And I knew I was gonna get run over the bus. They're gonna run me over. Tiffany's mad, Sheikah's mad, they're both hurt. I did them
I'm
wrong.
not hurt,
I understand that.
Nor am I mad. It's about time that you get held accountable for what you've done.
Hold me accountable.
Other women
Hold me
from
accountable.
you.
I knew I was gonna get ran over here. I knew I was gonna get ran over
Well,
here.
I'm asking you questions. I mean, I'm just asking you questions. I'm probing at this point. Tiffany and Sheikah say Eric may be dangerous, but his ex-wife, who he claimed was dead, is actually alive. What she has to say may actually surprise you. I'm going to add that to the mix when we come back.
Asking me to have sex with you because you claimed that you had cancer.
That was all a lie.
Yes, sir, it was.
I'll give Eric credit for one thing. He can sure charm people.
Not being a very attractive man, I've always been able to date extremely beautiful women.
Eric has the market cornered on how to pick up women. He knows exactly what women want to hear.
He likes smart women. It's almost like the thrill of the chase, being able to conquer somebody who has the intellect that he has. Eric needs to know that eventually the luck runs out. Game over.
Well, Tiffany and Sheikah say their ex-boyfriend, Eric, who they claim is a con artist, was not their type initially, but his intelligence and personality drew them in. Now, looking back at things now, they admit that their relationship quickly escalated and they missed red flags. Now, here are some of the red flags that were overlooked. Even though there were stories of riches, there was no money, there was no ID. I mean, he's wearing old clothes, there's no home, you never met any family or friends. The relationship moved really fast, the promises were empty. When you look back at this, if the person that you know, and I'm saying this as much for people that are watching, because this is a teachable moment, if you're talking about someone of substance, a man or a woman, they usually have a footprint in life, right? I mean, there's usually relationships, family, businesses, associates, friends. It's like a boat going through the water. They've left a wake. And here you meet somebody, there's no wake behind this boat. There's no friends, there's no family, there's no home, there's nothing. They just all of a sudden are there. They've got no ID, they don't even have a wallet. And, you know, I wrote a book called Life Code. And in Life Code, I talked about this concept of the benefit of the doubt. Because I was raised as a Christian and we were taught, look for the good in people and give them the benefit of the doubt. That's insane. You shouldn't give people the benefit of the doubt, nor should you condemn them. What you should do is gather data to make an informed decision. You know,
there was data. She had data. She went and saw him in the hospital. She read his real name on the hospital chart. That would have been the biggest red flag for me. I'm sorry, but if somebody is going by, excuse me, I'm speaking.
No, I don't care. You're not going to try to throw me under the bus.
Someone is going by a name that they're not supposed to be going, and you're looking at a chart, and you're seeing that there's another name, guess what? I'm going home and I'm Googling.
Are you trying to say it's their fault?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that would have been a big red flag for me to say, hey, wait a minute. Well, why is he telling me his name is this, but it's actually this?
Okay, good for you. Here's something that I might suggest. You say you know he's been a liar since he was a child?
Absolutely.
Then you might want to mention that to the women he drags up when you first see them.
I never met him.
Well, when that happens, you might want to put that in the intro when you first meet them.
This is why I never knew, was because I never knew they existed.
Well, I've heard from some of the people that were on this timeline, Martha, and I have a statement from her, and this is the one that supposedly was dead, but isn't. I was married to Eric in 2004 to 2008. We have 2 sons. When we got married, he started to lie to me. I lost trust in Eric when our coworker told me Eric was cheating on me. The coworker told me he was taking another woman to the bathroom at work to have sex with her. The lies and cheating caused us to separate. Eric by nature is trustworthy. He wouldn't steal from you. He just has a problem with lying. Eric tends to embellish his job status and how much money he makes. Eric is not a dangerous person, and I would trust our kids with him. I don't believe Eric is a con man, but is in survival mode. When Eric is stable, he's an amazing father, but he is not stable right now. So that's what Martha had to say. Are you dangerous?
I think in a sense, I am dangerous as far as, you know, I would emotionally and probably mentally hurt somebody because of the lies that I tell. As far as physically, no. I've never raised my hand to a woman. I've never beat anybody.
Why did you have a personal protection order against you for 2 years?
That's something that you mentioned. I've never been served. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. I still don't know anything about it. You also claimed online when you did or you didn't post my cheerleader profile, you said I'm a felon, which I'm not.
You would be a felon. I don't care if you're talking.
I don't care.
I do.
You would be a felon.
I do.
You just want to talk about yourself. That's fine.
Both of you stop. It doesn't help if 2 people are talking at once. Say what you're saying. Go ahead and say it.
I agreed to come on the Dr. Phil show because I was like, holy crap. I did damage to that woman that I didn't even know that I did.
You didn't know that asking me to have sex with you after we had broken up, after everything was done, knowing that I was trying to repair my life, repair the damage that you had done to me psychologically and spiritually, if not anything else, that asking me to have sex with you because you claimed that you had cancer and in order to be able to have the treatments done and you see me crying in a car, that's not something you realize you hurt me with?
No, I didn't. And I apologize
Then you
for
are
that.
Completely oblivious of everything.
I was oblivious, yes, I was. And for that, I'm truly sorry.
I'm sorry means absolutely nothing.
I'm sorry, he told you what?
Thanks, Dr. Phil. He said that he had cancer, testicular cancer. I told him to go pay for it if he absolutely had to, but because he knew that I was empathetic, because he knew that we had that connection, because he knew that I wouldn't want anything detrimental to happen to him, he was willing to use that with me so that I felt bad enough that I was willing to do something like that.
Did you?
And I did.
Well, it took 17 years, but I finally asked one too many questions.
Thanks, Dr. Phil.
Well, I asked a question, you gave an answer. And so that was all a lie.
Yes, sir, it was.
That's really
Yes, it is.
Two more ex-girlfriends say they're ready to speak out against Eric and his actions. We'll hear from them next.
We're here to be honest, right? Let's be honest. And rightfully so.
Honest that you take up for
Rightfully
him
so.
and you don't need to because he needs help and he is dangerous.
I feel like Eric is extremely reckless. He's completely clueless about the amount of damage that he's done in my life and other people's lives.
Some of his ex-girlfriends have ended up homeless and lost their jobs.
I've pretty much had enough of Eric's behavior, especially regarding children. So Eric has agreed to have a vasectomy. He needs to stop right now, and that's the way to guarantee it. Put him out of commission.
If somebody says I'm reckless or dangerous, I would wholeheartedly disagree with them. You know, I may hurt your feelings, but you're never in any physical danger with me.
I said there are two other women that have weighed in. I have statements from them. I want to share them. One is from Courtney. It reads, Eric and I were together when I was in college in 2010 and on and off until about a year ago. I was lied to constantly, made to look a fool in front of my friends and loved ones. I was told of businesses and properties that may have existed but never in the hands of Eric Williams. My best friends and I were promised an incredible spring break vacation on his yacht. I typed up invites and special instructions. We packed up my best friend's truck and drove to Galveston to wait at an empty shipyard for a boat that never showed because it was never real. Promises of weddings, houses, condos, families, and cars that never came to exist. Now I have a hard time trusting men. I was angry with myself for spending so much time with a man who didn't have my best interest at heart. So that's Courtney. Then Tori says, I met Eric Xavier Williams, October 2016 on a dating website. He was a widower, single father of two, entrepreneur, and Stanford University graduate. Eric had the gift of gab, and often I would call him a used car salesman because he was always pitching something. Eric came to the first date with an overnight bag and a tale that his wallet and ID were stolen. Eric would occasionally disappear to go to work, but I later found out he had another girlfriend during the same time. Eric vowed to help pay rent. After all his delusions of grandeur and false promises, I got evicted. May 2018 and had to move in with friends so my daughter could finish school. Eric showed at my friend's house and stayed 1 week in June of 2018. It was the last time I ever communicated with Eric Xavier Williams. My hope is he stops preying on vulnerable women and leaving debt and babies in the wake of his antics.
Agree.
What do you say about what those two have to say?
I would say that they're absolutely valid.
Okay, so there's an anonymous website on cheating, and there's been some things posted on there that are posted by Anonymous, the truth about you.
It's not anonymous, it's her. It's not a secret.
Did you post that stuff up there?
That's something I don't really want to talk about.
Okay, that's all right. And it just says the truth about Eric, sociopath, narcissist, widowed, wallet, just all the stuff that we're talking about here. So you're not saying whether you posted it or not, but you certainly would have. You certainly would have had the experience to have posted it. I mean, you could have.
Anybody can post on there.
Yeah, but you sent me a copy of it, so I know you posted it. I mean, we're here to be honest, right? Let's be honest. You posted it, and rightfully so.
Honest that you take up for him and you don't need to because he needs help and he is dangerous.
I don't stick up for Eric. I do not.
You did yesterday and you are today.
He
told me that you were physically and sexually abusive to him. He told her that you were racist.
Was not.
He told other women that you were dead.
I'm not.
So he tried to keep us away from you.
Wait a second,
He
I told you my mom's racist?
You told
That's a
her.
flat out lie.
His mom
You're
is
lying.
not racist.
How does that feel?
Well, that is what I was told.
that I was told that by your mother.
Are you currently
I
pregnant?
was told that by
Stop,
your mother.
Stop for a minute. Stop for a minute. You just said she just told an ugly lie about you. How does it feel?
I got it coming. I totally got it coming. Dr. Phil, I knew when I came here that I was going to get ran over the bus.
How does that feel?
It feels bad.
For her to...
It feels bad, and I deserve it. You know, the crowd, you know, obviously they take some sort of liking to it, and I should. I'm a jerk.
I talked about the lack of empathy. We did what we call screen grabs of your face while they were talking about their pain. I talked about the lack of empathy, and you know, while these two were kind of sharing some of their emotional pain, we did what we call screen grabs of your face while they were talking about their pain. An absolute lack of compassion, emotion, just really certainly no emotional connection. So you know, you said that you came here to get some help, and this is it. You know, empathy is really important. And what does that mean to you? This isn't a test, but what does it mean to you? If you don't know exactly how to describe it, it's okay. I'm just curious what it means to you.
I think empathy and sympathy are very similar.
They're not at all.
I think that being able to put yourself in somebody's shoes and understand how they feel.
That's empathy.
Is extremely important. As I said to Tiffany earlier, I did things and said things to her that were evil. I really believe that. Mm-hmm. And I hurt her, and I don't think I ever realized how bad I hurt her until just now. And I'm trying to listen to her and trying to listen to Yashika so that I can understand exactly what I did to them.
Well, I want to show you a list of, there's a lot of research about why people lie. Like, number one is to take what's not rightfully theirs. Like, take credit for something they didn't earn or do, so they lie to take what's not rightfully theirs, like I did this, or I earned this, or I have this credential or something. They take what's not rightfully theirs. They do it to escape accountability. Like, I didn't do that. I didn't, you know, I'm not the guilty party here. Or to create a fantasy, a false self-esteem to escape their mundane life.
I would say that's pretty accurate.
To avoid punishment, to inflict pain on others, to feel better in the moment, to steal admiration, you know, to get a hero moment, to gain an advantage, to exploit others. When you look at these, I mean, do they all fit? Do some of them fit? What do you think fits you here?
I would say all of them, except for inflict pain. I don't ever go into a situation hoping to inflict pain on somebody.
I think from looking at it, this most definitely, you create this alter ego. You create a fantasy of false esteem to escape a mundane life. I mean, you make up all of these things. You don't tell people who you really are, and that you don't have a job, that you're living with your mother, that you don't have any money. So you create, oh, I'm going to buy you a mansion and cars and all of this. You create a fantasy of false self-esteem to escape the reality of who you are. So, I mean, that seems to be very clear. This seems to be very clear because it's tied to that. You certainly do it to feel better in the moment. I mean, you get those hero moments, and you definitely do it to gain an advantage and exploit others. That's how you get women. I mean, you make them believe you're somebody you're not. And you say you don't do it to inflict pain, but yet you certainly inflict pain. So you're all up and down the list. Now, these aren't the only reason people lie. I mean, for those of you At home, people also lie to protect others' feelings sometimes. You know, there are moral reasons actually to lie, but I'm talking about when you're lying in a toxic way. And you ask if you can get better. You know, it really depends. And there are some things you have to do and some things you guys have to do if this dynamic is going to change at all. And I'm going to tell you what it is after the break. Now, while we're in commercial break, I want to ask a couple of questions of all of you guys. Who here has subscribed to my new podcast, Fill in the Blanks? Yeah! Raise your hand if you have. Okay, so have you? Yeah. You subscribed?
Yes, I have.
All right, you enjoying it?
I love it.
All right, see, you hear that? She's subscribed. Now, how old are you?
19.
19, of course she subscribed. 19-year-olds do this like that, right? Bang, bang, bang.
Fingers. Okay,
who has not subscribed? Fess up. You've not subscribed? Stand up. The hell are you thinking? So you've not subscribed?
I have not, no.
Why?
I don't know.
Get your phone out. Everybody get your phone out. Okay, let me show you how. Do y'all know what fill in the blanks is? Yes. You don't even know? Okay. I'm doing a podcast, which is different from the Dr. Phil show in that I get to talk to all kinds of people and I don't have to solve problems. I want to tell you how to do it. We're going to all subscribe right now. Don't worry, it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. All right, everybody get your phone out and turn it on and go to your home screen and find this little purple icon that looks like a microphone. Click on it, and then in order to find mine, go to where it says search, and you click on the little magnifying glass, and then type in fill in the blanks. Now, when you go to fill in the blanks, there's a little button here that says subscribe. Yeah. Push that. Bang, you are subscribed.
I'm done.
What do you think of that?
That's awesome, thank you.
Okay, now, in my new episode that drops today, it's called Living by Design, I'm going to partner with you to discover who you are and, more importantly, how you got there. Take a look. I'm starting a series where I'm talking about filling in the blanks in your lives. I want you to get an edge in your life. The only person you have to control to make a huge change in your life is you. What I want you to do is start living by design. I want you to have a definition of what success is in your life. I want us to come away with a plan that you can get excited about. And that's what this series is all about. Like in that particular episode, I'm talking to you about how not to become emotionally bankrupt so you're not there for the people that you care about and care about you. And I'm going to ask you a really serious question in this particular episode, which is, how much fun are you to live with? Now, have you ever thought about that? Just how much fun are you to wake up with every single day? And if the answer is not much, you need to listen to this one twice, okay? And then at some point in this series, I'm going to give you the 7 core characteristics of a champion that I've put together over the last 30 years. You're not going to believe that. They're there every time somebody winds up being a winner. And then other times I'm talking to celebrities like Shaq, I've done Jay Leno, Kathy Bates, and you're going to find out things about them you didn't know, you just thought you knew. So in order to start living by design, subscribe to Fill in the Blanks today so you don't miss an episode, because it starts today. It's entertaining, it's enlightening, and more importantly, it's free, okay? All right, we got to get back to the show. All right. Tiffany, Sheikah, I want to start with you two. There's power in forgiveness. And I want to say that forgiveness has nothing to do with the person you forgive. It has nothing to do with them deserving or not deserving forgiveness. It has nothing to do with them making amends or anything of the sort. Forgiveness is all about you. because if you are locked in bitterness, hatred, angst, anger towards somebody, that's a lot of energy invested in that person. It's like you're locked into a bond with them, because you've got to say, I withdraw from this, and you know, judgment is God's job, not mine. So you go forth and do whatever you're going to do. I'm moving on, and I really hope that you will do that. You have come here, thank you very much for doing this, by the way, and you have helped not just people that might encounter him in their lives, you have helped millions of women. We're on all over the United States and something like 50 foreign countries. People are watching this that'll say, you know what, I need to start checking a few things out with this new guy. You have helped millions of women in relationships that are going to say, I'm going to get out my computer and start checking some stuff out about this old boy. So by having the courage to share your story, you've used your lives and your experience to help millions of women, and thank you for doing that. Here's the problem. You know, emotionally, you're very immature. I mean, it's stunted in some way. I can't diagnose you sitting here, but I can tell you, if I were to see you, which I won't, in a private situation, and when I say I can't diagnose you, to do that, I would probably put you through a very extensive battery of psychometric tools. I would do a structured interview. I would do all kinds of things and come up with some diagnostic conclusion. But I can tell you what would be on the short list at the beginning. It would be sociopathic personality, antisocial personality, borderline personality disorders, all of these things that have to do, narcissistic personality, all of these things that have to do with a lack of appropriate social emotional development, all tied together by immaturity. Here's the problem. People like that, if you did fit one of those criteria, sometimes they tend to get worse, not better in therapy, because all they do is learn how to mimic what they're not doing, and it makes them better con men. So you have to have a really good, savvy person that teaches you what you really need, and that is to have enough self-regard that you don't feel the need to lie. That's the issue here. You're smart enough to know that lying is wrong. You're smart enough to know that it hurts people. What you don't have is the confidence to say, you know what? I'm going to take the risk of being me and find out whether they'll let me hang around just for being me without having to embellish the story. And that's a risk you haven't been willing to take. And I am willing to hand-pick you some professional help, someone that won't buy into, be conned by, or let you slide, and get you some help to learn how to relate as who you are and get your self-esteem to the point that you don't feel the need to lie. But if you're willing to work at it, I will get you someone that will find out what's going on and help you. But I'll tell you what, it's going to require a lot of transparency, and they're going to hold your feet to the fire. And you start playing games, I will instruct them to kick you to the curb in a New York minute. But if you're willing to do the work, I'll get you a really top-notch professional that will work with you. You willing to take that help?
Absolutely.
All right, fair enough. All right, we'll do it. All right, I want to thank all of my guests today. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and don't forget to subscribe to my new podcast called Fill in the Blanks. We'll see you next time.
today on Dr. Phil. He lost their entire $1 million retirement fund, some of it on women.
Women he met online, but never in person.
This is April. April and I are engaged. This lady is Jane. Her and her daughter are now being held in captivity. This is Sophie Preston. Sophie is mute, and she was in an auto accident.
She's a fashion designer?
She is. She's a very good one.
If she's a really good fashion designer, why is she homeless?
Fool for love?
Her attorney.
Her so-called attorney.
He robbed her.
Yes, and he'd been robbing her before, apparently, too.
I hate it when that happens.
Or just plain fool?
Show me a document that's not fraudulent.
Well, I don't have it on me.
Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
I want to be right.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Well, Robert and Jeremy got married in their 20s after meeting on a ski trip. Now, Jeremy supported her husband's career as a college professor with a PhD in meteorology, and even got her master's degree also in meteorology, and they published some papers together. Both say they were best friends, loved traveling in their RV, and really just sharing their life together. But after 40 years of marriage, Jeremy walked out on Robert. She says she was blindsided after discovering he lost their entire $1 million retirement fund.
I believe my ex-husband, Bob, has lost his mind. When we retired, he began to get involved in the day trading. It was pretty much an obsession, 18 hours a day.
I lost a lot of money, didn't tell my wife about it. I thought I could make up for my losses.
Things were spiraling out of control. I went to charge something on a credit card, and the credit card was maxed out.
I had to tell her we lost everything.
We were broke. Our $1 million nest egg was gone. Bob became obsessed with making back that money. He would go online and find these women, and they would say they had a lot of money, but they couldn't get at it. And if he would just give them a little bit of money, then he would benefit with the larger amount of money once they got the money free.
Women ask for money for food, or they need medicine, or their mother needs medicine.
Basically, Bob was being scammed. I don't believe he had any idea of what was going on, and nobody could tell him different.
I probably lost in total about $50,000 to $75,000. I mean, when I say lost, it means I never met the women yet, and the money's gone.
After 40 years of marriage, I filed for divorce.
Since the divorce, I'm probably online 6 hours a day, 7 days a week. What I'm looking for is a woman that I could have a long-term relationship with, in fact, a marriage relationship with.
Robert needs help. In his mind, he's going to find a beautiful young woman, wealthy, who's going to share her fortune with him. They're going to ride off into the sunset, and maybe he'll send me something. He's just crazy.
Now Robert says he has not one, but a pool of several women who he texts several hours a day. He says he hopes one relationship will lead to marriage.
At this point, there's approximately a half dozen women that I have a strong interest in. This is Sophie Preston. I met her online about 2 years ago, and I've been talking to her ever since. Sophie lives in the Modesto area in California. Her father was Nigerian, her mother was American. She's a U.S. citizen, but she grew up in the United Kingdom, and she's a fashion designer. She could easily be my wife. Sophie is mute, and she was in an auto accident when she was like 10 or 12 years old. She lost her voice because of some damage, but that's repairable in the future. She just doesn't have the money to do the operation until she gets her inheritance. I've seen her passport, and I also talked to a friend of hers she went to school with in the United Kingdom, and I used that to help validate her. I've already said Sophie, about $10,000. Last time I sent her money was $1,000, and that was 2 days ago. She was supposed to send me a total of $50,000. And because I knew I was going to be here in California, I said, well, send some of it to here instead, so I needed the address for the hotel, so I could then get delivery of that and then go cash the money order at Walmart or the post office. I have not seen any of it. This is April. We started to chat after she sent me an email. It was actually intended for somebody else, related to some packages that she didn't get delivered. But I said, well, wait a minute, are you single and unattached? And she says, yes, why would you ask? And she told me about herself, and we chatted for the rest of the day. April and I are engaged. I made a proposal to her, and that's on the table. Right now, she's not in the country.
He falls in love with everyone he meets. He's on fiance 43 would be highly likely.
She's in the country of Tonga, which is a South Pacific island below the equator. She said, I dropped hot coffee on my computer. She was going to take her computer to a technician, but at that point she didn't have the money to pay him to do it. Her company was willing to help, but they couldn't get her the money, so she convinced them to send the money to me to send on to her. They sent me $3,800, and I bought gift cards to send to her, because nowadays an awful lot of money transactions are done that way. A lot of them are scams, though. The gift cards I sent her were Nordstrom, I believe. I think in her particular case, I don't think she is scamming me. There's another lady in which I was also romantically interested in, dating back about 2 years. This lady is Jane. Her and her daughter are now being held in captivity. I would call it a compound in Levittown, New York. Her uncle is the one doing this. She refers to him as Uncle Danny. He told me his name is Gonzalez. That the house she's lived in is a fortress that has security guards with guns and attack dogs. She befriended a maid working in the house, and the maid let her use her phone. Then I said, can you call up Google Maps on your phone and then have it give you your coordinates? She tried to do that, but she says, this phone just won't do it. She says $200 will upgrade this phone. And from there, I can get on Google Maps and I can be out of here. So she's asked me for the $200. I said, I'm going to the FBI. The FBI agent took the report down, and I said, yeah, it could be a scam. I mean, I admitted to him that was a possibility, but I told him why I didn't think so. And he said he would pass it on. That's the last I heard.
For a man who's supposed to be smart, he is dumber than most.
You're concerned that he's being scammed.
Yes, I am very concerned.
And you're sensitive to this, but you've got a system where you weed out whether someone's being scammed or not.
Well, I do my best, but it's often failure.
Right. So what is it you're after? What is it you want to achieve in terms of relationship?
I want a woman to marry.
Why?
Because I don't like being alone.
Well, there's more to it than that, though, right? A candidate for you has to have certain qualities and characteristics, right?
Sure, to filter that down to somebody, that's correct. Well, yeah, I mean, I think, look, I'm a guy. I mean, to be honest, in generally, you're looking for somebody you're attracted to first, but that's not the only thing. I'm looking for somebody who has Christian beliefs, is committed, and I'm looking for somebody who is funny, smart, you know, intelligent, somebody I can have a rapport with, somewhat adventurous, sense of humor.
In a perfect world, you would like somebody that's young, attractive, interesting, funny, exotic, and rich.
Yes, if that's possible.
The finances are an important part because, as you say, you squandered all of your retirement for the two of you.
It is an important part.
And you found that out
The night before he underwent a triple bypass.
Wow. And you did it by presenting a credit card that you knew should have a zero balance.
I went to buy a cushion for him to lie on when he got out of the hospital. And I found out that that credit card was maxed out at $9,000 something. And I couldn't even buy a $49 cushion. So I went to him and he confessed that he had maxed that out and that he had maxed out 3 other credit cards so that we were now $40,000 in credit card debt.
And that was just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Because you found out $40,000 was just the credit cards. In fact, he had been day trading and lost
all of it.
Everything. So what do you say to yourself when you're that upset and angry and then he's going into surgery, presumably life-saving surgery?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I honestly didn't know whether I wanted him to survive or not.
So if you had gotten that $49 cushion, you might have used it to smother him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I wouldn't have gotten the life insurance, so.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And you understood she was upset, right?
Well, yes, that would be normal. But the main part of the story I want to correct is I never used all of our savings on any other women. That never happens.
You have been sending money to women?
I have been, but I never used any of our savings. You see, any of that happened after
Where'd you get the money?
From my own income.
Well, let's be clear here. You were not sending any of our savings to women that you were romantically interested in, but you started with this scam business while we were still married and while I was still with you, because you had the woman who wanted to go to nursing school, and you had the person who posed as one of your former students. And we both tried to help those people. I began to realize it was a real scam setup.
That's correct.
And then once I left, you immediately began with the women. And the week after the divorce was final, he's asking me to help him figure out how to have a nest for his new fiance.
He asked you to help.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this needs a lot of correction. I don't know how much time you have here.
I don't
think I have
whether...
enough for you to correct all of that. But you said you had a way of filtering these out and kind of sorting out the scammers for the non-scammers.
Well, one way is when you ask for their image, you can search online to see if that image is showing up anywhere else using Google. Right. And if it shows up anywhere else under a different name, that's pretty much the end of the story right there as far as they're concerned.
All right. Well, Robert says he's talking to at least 5 different women in order to find the one. And I want him to explain the rationale behind his approach, and we'll talk about that when we come back. If she's a really good fashion designer, why is she homeless?
Her home was taken from her during the time her mother died.
How's she going to get access to it?
It involves a Nigerian company.
And later, she's homeless, but she's got a driver.
That's unclear to me too, actually.
I found that there were a lot of questions you didn't quite ask.
But I'm asking them now.
Okay, keep going.
I'm looking for somebody who's reasonably athletic looking, somebody who's got womanly features, the whole package.
In my ex-husband Robert's mind, he's going to find a young Marilyn Monroe who's got all the money in the world, and she's going to want to marry him at 70 years old.
Like, I'm really charming, that's why, you know.
He's definitely delusional. I think Bob is about as arrogant as they come. He thinks everybody thinks he's wonderful.
What I want to see from Dr. Phil is if there's any red flags that tell me to not pursue that particular woman, to move on.
Well, Robert says he began dating again after his 40-year marriage to his ex-wife, Jeremy, ended 3 years ago. However, one woman in particular, he says, he's ready to marry as soon as possible. That's Sophie. Now, you're really wanting to get as sophisticated as you can at weeding out real versus phony, right?
Of course.
You really want to know.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And that's why you're asking, if I have input, you want to know what it is.
Well, I knew you had resources here. That's what.
Sure.
That's what my neighbor, Jill, she's the one who really contacted the show about it.
Right, right. And let's take a look at Robert's current pool of women, the 5. You know, one is Sophie Preston. There's April Jean. Then there's Jane Hodges. She's also known as Jane Stamper. Then there's Rosalind Randy, and then Wendy Rodriguez. And these women are kind of from all over the globe, or at least currently are scattered kind of all over the globe, right?
Yeah, they're various places. Mm-hmm.
And you said one of them is in Modesto, or is from Modesto?
Well, not in Modesto. She grew up in the United Kingdom.
But she's in Modesto now.
That's what she says. That's Sophie Young.
Okay, and you realize that's really close to here.
I do.
Did you ask her to come up and meet you here?
No, I'm talking about going to her. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but I'd like it to happen.
Why would it not happen?
Because it has to be with her concurrence, and I haven't had enough conversation with her. That's a longer story, but the fact is that she's probably homeless right now and unable to get on the internet to communicate with me.
Okay. How have you been communicating with her? Has it been on the internet?
It's been on the internet like the others.
Have you talked to her on the phone?
I've never talked. She's mute.
This is the one that's mute?
She's mute. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but she has a friend that's not.
She has a childhood friend that I did communicate with, but only on chat, not on the phone.
She couldn't go to a library or internet cafe or somewhere and get on and type you a message? Or?
Well, I don't know her situation exactly, mostly because I can't communicate with her about why she doesn't have communication. It's kind of a tricky thing there. And the reason why she's homeless is because she expected to get her inheritance, and she was kicked out of her home because her mother died and did not leave the home to her. The mother left the home to her stepbrother.
Yeah. Well, she was born in 94 in the United Kingdom, so she's 25.
Right.
Are you concerned about the age difference?
I didn't actually know she was 25.
Yeah.
I knew she was under 40, but I don't really look that closely at the exact age.
She's mute. She used to live with her mom in, is it Ripon, California?
That's correct.
And currently in a homeless shelter, most likely, is what you're thinking. She has a U.S. passport and a California driver's license. Her father, Michael Preston's Nigerian, but he's deceased.
Correct.
And the father was CEO of United Crude Oil.
That's what I'm told.
And her mother, Jessica Phillip, was an American and was deceased last year.
Correct.
And her mother died while on a flight, right?
That's
and
correct.
Her body is in a morgue in Frankfurt, Germany.
That's correct.
In fact, almost all of these women's significant family members are deceased.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. And she has an attorney, this Bernard T. William, that lives in Ripon, California, that manages the inheritance.
Yes, but he's a conflict, and there's a good chance that he's actually been ripping her off as her attorney and not keeping his responsibilities as an attorney.
Okay. And she's a fashion designer?
She is. She's a very good one.
Yeah. And she sells to Miskay, which is an African company?
That's right. Not entirely. I don't know everything about her past business practices, but in recent times, that's been a person who's been selling her dresses and so forth.
And y'all met on a dating website, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you've been talking via text messages for 2 years, and she's expecting $50,000 in inheritance from her father.
She's expecting she's expecting $5.5 million from her father.
Okay, but she was going to send you $50,000.
Yes, because I've been sending her money, and
you've sent her like $8,000, something like that.
Probably a little more, but most of that didn't get to her. There's no way for me to know that's true, but that's what I was told.
Yeah. If she's a really good fashion designer, why is she homeless?
She's homeless because her home was taken from her during the time her mother died. It was not in her name. So
and if her father's leaving her $5.5 million.
She doesn't have access to it.
How's she going to get access to it?
Well, through my help along the line, and it involves a process which involves a Nigerian company. That tells you something right there, right?
It tells me a lot. What do you think about that?
It's pretty incredible.
It's kind of like a soap opera, really. Mom's dead, dad's dead, brother got the house, she's mute.
Well, that's only the half of it, actually.
And later, you are a loudmouth bully.
Play the other side of that conversation.
You heard the other side of the conversation.
I did not.
You don't run this show, I run the show.
Well, that's apparent.
Robert says he is currently focused on 5 women. What do you think about that?
It's pretty incredible.
It's kind of like a soap opera, really.
Yeah,
right?
at least.
I mean,
it is.
It's very busy. I mean, mom's dead, dad's dead, brother got the house, she's mute.
And
I
can
expect any minute for her to get amnesia.
I can tell you you said it's like a soap opera. Well, that's only the half of it, actually.
Yeah, well, there's more. You're right. And here are some text message exchanges between Robert and Sophie. November 15th, Robert, here's the hotel address. Write it down. And he says, Sheraton Universal Hotel, 33 Universal Hollywood Drive, Universal City, California. You're giving her this so she can send the money, right?
Some of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Sophie says, I did, baby.
She meant she had the address written down.
If you sent it to her in a text, it already was written down. Why would she have to write it down?
I'm not sure. Actually, I have to think about that a little bit.
Just little things kind of jump out at me. Okay, then you said, my money just came. I'm off to the store across the street.
Me.
Right.
That's right.
What money just came?
Social Security check.
Oh, not from her.
No.
This other money.
No.
Okay. You're off to the store across the street to do what?
To send her money in the form of gift cards, which is a pretty common way now to transfer money from one to the other.
Okay, so as soon as you got your Social Security check, you're off across the street. I'm going to send you money.
That was pre-planned, yeah.
Okay. And she says, okay, babe, are you there now? Like at the store? Meeting?
Yeah, or online.
Okay. And then you said, I sent $500 worth, and now I'm told I need to send $500 more. What the hell are you people doing to me over and over again? So you're questioning, like, what are you doing here, right?
I am.
And she says, baby, I made payment of $750 the last time. I think that is why you remembered hacker took the fund on the card. I told you, babe, I'm so sorry.
I had new information about this.
So what is it?
It turned out that this money I just sent did not go to her or the right person. It turned out Bernard actually had the address. He took the money, and that was it.
Okay, her attorney robbed
She told me this in the last few days.
her attorney
Her
robbed her.
attorney, her so-called attorney.
Yeah, he robbed her.
Yes. And he'd been robbing her before, apparently, too.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens. Okay, then you said, I did it, but heaven help for what I've done. What's that mean?
It just means that I'm basically robbing from myself and my future to do that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And Sophie says, babe, I'm waiting for driver to pick me up. Babe, the driver is here.
And that's the last thing I heard from her until a couple of days ago, after I was out here with you.
She's homeless, but she's got a driver.
No. Well, I'm not sure. That's unclear to me too, actually. But there's so many aspects to this. You know, focusing on that wasn't my
Could be a cab.
Right. The focus on that wasn't my priority. More, I was worried about what happened to her.
Okay.
You know,
Because that's the last thing I actually heard from her. I mean, yes, I questioned that, but I'm questioning a lot about this, and that was minor potatoes compared to the bigger issues.
It could have just
you
been
know,
a cab.
through all the years, when you're doing the science stuff, when you're doing the money stuff, I found that there were a lot of questions you didn't quite ask.
But I'm asking them now.
Okay, keep going. You're doing good.
Thank you. Then Robert says, okay, just tell me if they've actually handed you cash at the bank and the debit card. That will go a long way to making me happy right now.
Yes, because...
You just want to know if it got to you.
Well, yeah, because once that happens, it means the whole thing is real. But until that happens, there's doubt, and in their case, considerable doubt as time goes on.
All right. Well, we did some sleuthing, and we found out some interesting things about Sophie Preston that I think Robert should know. That's after the break. This picture has been pasted on top of an existing passport.
I know that that's fraudulent. Another one was sent to me, though, that I don't think is fraudulent.
Don't tell me about a document you have that you didn't send me.
I've known Robert for about 3 years, and he was one of my neighbors. I have proven to him time and time again with multiple different women that these are scams.
Her first take is, they're scammers until proven otherwise. I kind of take the opposite point of view. They're not scamming me until they're proven they're scammers.
His mental stability is all wrapped up in this, his identity, and he can't be wrong. If he's wrong, he fails.
It's exactly like someone taking their paycheck every week and going and playing the slot. They're sure they're going to get the money. They know this time is going to be the one, and then they can make up for the deficit that they have going on. I wrote the Dr. Phil show when he said, well, I'm actually going to food places during the day to eat where they serve the homeless lunch, and then at night I'm sleeping behind the church, so I'm safe. I feel that Dr. Phil is his last chance.
Okay, that was Jill, by the way. She's your friend, correct?
Correct.
And Jill, you're here. We'll talk to you in just a bit. And, you know, Jill points something out that I think is really interesting. And day trading is kind of gambling, right? It's very high risk.
It is.
Okay. And I kind of think you went from one high-risk situation to another high-risk situation is my point.
Okay.
You were looking for something there. You're looking for it in a different high-risk scenario now. But call it what you will. Okay, so Sophie Preston, we wanted to find out really who this mute beauty was.
Mm-hmm.
So we did some checking because you look at documents, as anyone should.
Sure.
You're quite right to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you did look at her passport.
Yes.
And we did the same thing. Now, what we have here, this is a passport that is real. We know this one for sure, and I'm not saying this one isn't, I'm just saying we know this one sure because he works with us here, and I've known him for 20 years. So I know this person's for real, and so I know this is a legitimate passport. And so I put it up here so we can compare between the two. Now, one of the things that bothered me here is that there are two different names on this passport. Now, we had to block this out up here because we don't want to actually show the name, but this name starts with a J up here where they signed the passport, but the name on the passport down here that has been typed in is Sophie Preston. But the person that signed this passport is not Sophie Preston. It's up here, and it's a name that starts with a J. Then I looked at the picture, and we've blurred the picture out because I'll get to that in a minute. But you notice the picture is on top of the United States seal. In the actual passport, the seal is on top of the picture. And the reason that's a significant finding is because it tells you that this picture has been pasted on top of an existing passport because it's covering up the seal, whereas the seal encroaches on the picture in a real passport.
Can I comment on this? I have something to say. When you're ready. Okay, the passport you have, I know that that's fraudulent. But in the research that was done in sending documents to your people, I was sending a lot of stuff. So anything I found on my internet, on my computer, I was sending that out. I know that one was fraudulent. There was another one I'm not sure I ever found. In the speed of things, I sent that one out. I know that one's fraudulent. I found that out myself. And I know why it's fraudulent.
Tell me.
She's had 2 attorneys, okay? The first one, her first attorney wanted to get me convinced to move this along because he had money issues himself. When I confronted her and this guy, basically, she said, I've never seen that before. And so I said, okay, well, she's probably lying to me, but I said, let's find out. When I confronted him with it, he basically said he made it up and it was fraudulent. So I did know that was fraudulent already. Another one was sent to me, though, that I don't think is fraudulent. And it's unfortunate I didn't get that one to you.
Oh, you just forgot to give us that one.
No, I didn't find it. Look,
come on.
Look, we're talking about in a few days putting hundreds of things together on my computer.
Look, I can't help you if you just keep shooting yourself in the foot. Don't tell me about a document you have that you didn't send me.
I didn't find it. I found that one. I forgot I had 2.
Yeah, well, remember it next time, okay? This is fraudulent. You see, this is clearly fraudulent. The lines down here are red.
It's clearly fraudulent.
Real ones are black.
I recognize
the name's in a different font.
I recognize it in 5 minutes.
Okay, let's move on to something that you did send us on purpose. Okay?
Well, I sent that to you on purpose too, but I didn't look at it closely when I did it.
Oh, my goodness.
That's clearly fraudulent.
This is her driver's license.
Yeah, that's what he sent too.
Okay, you know this is fraudulent
Absolutely.
too. Okay, so she said you have a fraudulent passport and a fraudulent driver's license.
She didn't send it to me. Actually, this attorney did.
Show me a document that's not fraudulent.
Well, I don't have it on me. Your assistants were asking for information at a rapid-fire rate, so if mistakes were made, yeah, they were made.
Yeah, you were busy being belligerent. Show me a document that's not fraudulent.
Well, I don't have it on me. Do you understand that your assistants were asking for information at a rapid-fire rate over a lot of people in a very short period of time?
Yeah,
that I was not prepared.
because they care a lot about what happens to you.
Yes, and I was not prepared at that moment to do it. I had to do it very quickly, and while I was doing it, more requests came in. I was doing that as fast as I could, so if mistakes were made, yeah, they were made.
Yeah, you were busy being belligerent is the reason you were having trouble getting all your documents
Is that a fact?
together. Yes, that is a fact.
Oh, okay.
That is a fact.
It's your show.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at whether you were being belligerent or not. Let's just take a look.
I'm not going to use their name, period. It doesn't matter who you give me to. You could give me the head of the corporation. I'm still not going to do it. So we have an impasse here. I'm going to put the onus back on you. You have my story, and my wife's story, you have Jill's story. Wait a minute, you're talking over me. Stop talking over me. If you want the answer, you're going to have to let me talk, okay? We don't have a show then, because I'm not going to say their actual first name. My bottom line is I'm not going to mention their name.
Oh, I just got a text from Robert. He says, I decided you can use all the first names now.
What?
I know.
What? Are you serious?
I basically took a look at each person and their situation. Decided that I could do it. Of all the ones that got mentioned today, I reviewed each one and I'm okay with it now. Okay, very good. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
That's an example of belligerent?
Is it an example of belligerence?
If a camera followed you around and took a snippet anywhere they wanted to, what would they say about you? Ask anybody in this room, would they like to have everything they say recorded and then take it out of context?
Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
I want to be right, and I want this show to be right. I don't want to be wrong, would you?
I decided to let it pass, you being rude and belligerent and abusive with my staff, but if you want to take that to task, we can, because you are a loudmouth bully.
Did you have the other side of that conversation? You know, in a phone conversation.
Yeah, I got the other side of that
two sides.
conversation. You want to bully them, bully me, Buster.
Play the other side of that conversation.
You heard the other side of the
No, I did
conversation.
not.
You don't run this show, I run the show.
Well, that's apparent.
Yeah.
And so that puts you in complete control.
It absolutely puts me in
good.
complete control.
Good.
Now,
Okay.
do you want the information or do you not?
I do.
Okay. Robert explained to our producers that his girlfriend, Sophie Preston, lived with her mother, Jessica Phillip, in Northern California until her mother recently died.
Not quite.
Sophie Preston is now in a homeless shelter. Okay, you want to split hairs? Okay, okay, I'll give you the floor. Go ahead. Go ahead, split hairs. We'll play semantics.
Because I don't know what you're going to do with that. So Sophie Preston grew up in England, moved with her family to California. She had to go back to Nigeria related to her father's death and issues related to her inheritance. Her mother went with her because her mother wasn't doing that well and couldn't stay back without her. Then she had to leave. Then she went to Nigeria, back to California, died on the way in Germany, and then Sophie went to her home. When her mother died, she found out she could not live there because it wasn't her home.
Okay, now let me finish, because you haven't got the damn clue where I'm going. We sent a staffer to the town where Sophie Preston says she and her attorney live.
I'm glad you were thorough.
We sent a staffer to the town where Sophie Preston says she and her attorney, who is managing her inheritance, Bernard T. Williams, live, because there's nothing better than boots on the ground. So let's see what this investigation uncovered.
Dr. Phil wanted to see if we could confirm some information given to him by Robert, who got it from Sophie. We are trying to see who lives in these two addresses. The show has been told by Robert that Sophie and Jessica, her mother, used to live in this address. Hey guys, can you guys tell me if you've seen this woman?
Never. I've never seen her.
She lives in this house right here, 3 houses down. Well, she used to live with her mom. This is her mom. She had a small dog.
I've never seen that woman here down the street. We're out all the time. I would honestly knock on her door. She's lived here for years.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you recognize this woman?
No.
Have you ever seen her?
No.
The show has been told by Robert that Bernard, Sophie's attorney, lives at this location. You know who this man is?
Never met him before once in my life.
Never heard the name Brandon T. Williams.
No.
Have you ever seen this woman? Does she look familiar? Have you seen her?
No, I have never met her before.
Dr. Phil, it is safe to say that the people that live in the addresses that Robert gave you do not know who Sophie, Jessica, or the attorney are.
Okay, we went up and down the street, and a lot of the people said, no, I would remember this girl.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would remember her. We have people that lived this street for like 30 years.
I don't doubt your research.
And said, neither one of them ever existed in that city, on that street. Talked to people that have lived there their entire lives. Neither one of them have ever been there.
I'm glad you were thorough.
So that's a lie.
Yes.
They never lived there.
It seems so.
So the summary findings that we have regarding Sophie Preston are that we also check to see if there is a Sophie Preston in California or the United States with the date of birth that she is given. The answer is no. So we wanted to know, there's United Crude Oil in Nigeria or the UK. And we located one United Crude Oil in Wilton, Connecticut. It's been out of business since the early 2000s, has no connection with anybody associated with Sophie Preston then or later. There is no Sophie Preston that sells to Miss K Boutique in Nigeria. There are 3 Miss K locations in Nigeria. We talked to all of them, and no one by this name has ever done any business with any of those locations.
Well, the damning part is going to her address. That's the part. The name of this company actually isn't accurate, but I assume they would know because it's close enough. It was actually Mrs. K, and not Boutique that I know. Anyway, the other part is United Crude Oil. Yeah, that's pretty damning. The other part of it is the date of birth business. I was told that if you were born in the UK, that might not show up in the usual databases, but there's enough there to draw the conclusion that you drew.
For 40 years. For 40 years.
Well, I've been married 43 years, and my wife says some of them feel like dog years too, so I understand there. Robert is still talking to 4 other women, April Jean, Jane Hodges among them. Robert may be thrilled to know what we found out about her next.
The Dr. Phil Show has been told by Robert that April Jean lived in this house before she had to leave for a freelance architecture job in Tonga.
Well, we're out of time today, but there's so much more to this mystery that we have just started to unravel. Believe me, you're going to want to stay tuned because we found April Jean, and boy, does she have a lot to say.
Tomorrow on Dr. Phil, he has 5 online girlfriends.
None of them exist.
Is he being scammed?
You sent her about $5,000?
Related to the gold, yeah.
But you never got the gold?
No. He got arrested before that happened.
If there is a 25-year-old multimillionaire gorgeous girl out there, she ain't looking for you. You understand what I'm telling you?
Well, I understand that
you're being used. The woman that you think is April Jean is actually this woman.
That's tomorrow.
I'd like to thank all of my guests today. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I do read your comments and questions. Now, Sinead Brown tweeted out to me to say, the classification of your TV show has caused a rift in a 3-year friendship. Please confirm if your TV show is a reality show or a talk show. Now, I'm open to coming on to the show to discuss this. Kind regards, Sarah and Sinead. Now, okay, it's actually not a show. If you look, this is called Dr. Phil. It's not called the Dr. Phil Show. It's just called Dr. Phil. And that's by design. It's not a Dr. Phil show, it's just Dr. Phil. So that's your answer. I don't know if that's going to solve your problem. That's all for today. We'll see you next time.
Today on Dr. Phil, they claimed their ex was living a lie.
Eric said that he had 3 master's degrees.
Played for the 49ers. He was a businessman. He had some real estate properties. He promised to buy me a home.
How was he able to con you into sending him money?
He didn't con me. I wanted to.
That's the con.
Now,
Eric is here.
They're ready to unload.
Will you give me a chance to talk?
You've been talking since I met you.
You knew you would never buy that house. You knew she would never sleep a night in that house when you were telling her it was going to be hers. Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Well, now, Eric, who you're going to meet today, claimed to be a widower, a Stanford University graduate, a former NFL player, and a major shareholder in several successful restaurants. But not everything is as it seems. We've tracked down his exes who say none of that is true. All of these women claim Eric is a compulsive liar who is possibly dangerous, as was the case with con artist and criminal Dirty John Meehan. Now, they say they are here to hold Eric accountable and confront him for the first time today. Let's start with Tiffany, who admits she fell for Eric big time and got lost in what she calls his detailed and elaborate stories. Take a look.
I met Eric about 8 years ago online. We immediately hit it off. Everything seemed to just come together. Everything was seamless.
I think our first full conversation lasted about 9 hours. I fell in love with her over the phone.
He told me he went to Stanford University. He played for the 49ers. He was a businessman. He had some real estate properties. I was completely amazed by all of the things that he had done. That was a happy time. Things were good. Things were new. Things were fresh.
She was a very genuine person, very kind-hearted. She's definitely one of those people that can make lemonade out of lemons.
Eric also told me that he was very wealthy and that his wife was tragically killed in a car accident and he was raising his 2 boys. I had extreme empathy for him. Eric explained to me that he was temporarily living with his brother in a dorm in Texas. He also said that his children were with a nanny in California. We were always on the phone, we were always online chatting. When I first met him online, he had lost his wallet. So I would order food for him and have it sent to his house. Since his wallet had been stolen and because he was extremely wealthy, all of his funds had been frozen. The 2 of us had been talking close to 2 months, and I wanted to meet him in person. I bought him a one-way ticket so that he could come and visit me. He came to my home for a 5 to 7 day visit, but he never left.
Really? After Eric moved in, Tiffany says their relationship quickly intensified. But then she claims things began to take a dark turn.
Eric is a complete con man. He's a fraud. He promised to buy me a car. He never did. He promised to pay the rent, and he wrote checks from a closed account. They would bounce. At one point, he even put an offer on a home. It was breathtaking. It was a dream home. I mean, when I say dream, I mean dream. It was gorgeous. I fell in love with that house. And he said that he closed on it. He told me that the house was ours. We were planning to move in, only we never moved in. It was just one big lie. What I realized was Eric was just a total fraud. He lied to me about everything. I felt like it was a scene out of the TV show Dirty John. After we had been together for about a year, I found out that I was pregnant. I was not happy. I was ready to get out of the relationship. The problem was I just couldn't bring myself to leave him. He had control over everything. All Eric was a stack of lies and empty promises.
Okay. Now, good to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for having me.
I'm really Dr. Phil. Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is me. What attracted you to him to begin with?
Eric is the master charmer. He was extremely flattering. He was very, very intelligent. He was well versed on just about anything. The businesses that you heard in my story, the restaurants, the real estate, he knew about stocks. So of course I'm thinking to myself, I can learn from this man. But in addition to that, he had a great sense of humor. Like he said, we were on the phone. I wouldn't say it was 9 hours for our first conversation, but we were on the phone all the time. If we weren't online, we were talking, and there was just this chemistry. I mean, he was just warm. But I think the thing that got me most was the children. He said that his wife was tragically killed, so immediately I felt empathy for him. He said that he was raising 2 boys on his own, and I'm thinking, wow, single man, father, 2 kids at home without a mother.
Everything except a box of puppies.
Pretty much.
Some of this is going to seem really obvious now, I know. Right. But this is for people to think through that maybe aren't as far into a con job as you are. Because if somebody's accomplished, as he says he is, businesses, he's been a success in the NFL, all this, he's lost his wallet. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've lost my wallet before, and I didn't have to have somebody from across the country send me money for a hamburger. But
it really, really sounds far-fetched.
So how was he able to con you into sending him money?
That was the thing. He didn't con me into sending him money. I wanted to. He painted this picture of being in need. I didn't see it.
No, that's the con. That's why they call it con.
I didn't see it. I saw someone who was in need, and that was one of the things that he learned about me in the very beginning. I gave him pretty much a blueprint of who I was, so he knew exactly what angle to come at me with in order to get something
See,
from
I
me.
want you to leave knowing some things you don't know before you got here.
Yes, sir.
That's why it's a con job. They make you want to do it. Otherwise, it's called mugging. If they mug you on the street, that's when they hit you in the head and get in your purse. But if they make you want to get in your purse and send it to them, then they've conned you into wanting to send them the money. But if he's that accomplished, you would think he would know how to replace credit cards, how to...
The story that he
his
painted,
funds?
right, that was the story that he painted, that because his wallet was stolen, because he was so wealthy, because he had all of this prestige, that they froze his funds. He had money that was coming out of his accounts to pay for his home, money that would automatically come to the nanny so that she was able to take care of the children. In terms of painting a story, there was always an excuse. There was always something to cover something else.
But you're a competent woman, right? And
Yes,
you've done
hope so.
business and you do this. We had a fraud alert on our credit cards the other day, and they said, we have to shut these credit cards down. They FedExed us a replacement. It was there by 8 o'clock the next morning. That's how that really works.
I know that now. I know that now. But at that point, it was one of those things. If I have to be honest, Dr. Phil, I was
let's not do that.
I was
Does
in
that
a
mean everything
position.
you've been saying's a lie?
No. I'm just saying that I know a lot more now, looking back, about why I did certain things that I was not paying attention to when I was in it.
Okay.
And he caught me when I was green.
Okay, but you know that means two things. Number one, it means that you have learned from your mistakes, which is critical. That means that's tuition. All that suffering and all that pain was tuition, not just penalty. You've learned from it.
Yes.
So you got to feel good about that.
Absolutely.
And secondly, it means that you were wanting to believe and hear what you wanted to hear, and you were willing to overlook red flags at the time. Now, there were some additional lies that you were told. There were so many, I made a list. He told you he was living with his brother, and he wasn't. He told you he had a nanny, he didn't. He told you that the mother was deceased, not true.
Yes.
She's actually here today.
I expected that.
Okay. Money frozen, but would reimburse food and airplane ticket. Going to buy you a home and a car.
Yes, that was as the relationship progressed.
Right. And you saw the home. Did you actually tour the home and all?
We toured the home. We looked at several homes, and this particular one that he said that he put the offer on, we were in and out of it. He brought in contractors, told them the specifications, things that he wanted changed. In terms of making this believable, he had everybody fooled.
And invest in a dance studio.
Yes.
And pay your rent.
Yes.
You were evicted.
Yes.
Okay, now, what do you think about that now? I mean, obviously that he's a liar.
Right.
What else?
He's the way that he is because no one has ever held him accountable. He's like a locust. He goes from place to place and person to person, sucking all of the resources out of whatever it is. And once he gets everything that he wants, he's on to the next. And if no one says anything, he continues to do it.
Here's his dating profile from 2018. I'm a widowed father who has moved back to Michigan from the Bay Area. I love vacationing and good food and good conversation. Okay, so he's still at this.
Yes.
Because this is very recent.
Right.
And so you say, clearly a pathological liar that doesn't hold himself accountable. But I think there's something much, much more going on here, and I'm going to tell you what that is after the break. Now, Tiffany is not the only person from Eric's past who claims he is a liar. And Eric is here, as I said. He's been listening to this, so I'm going to ask him what he has to say. We'll be right back.
When I first met Eric, he told me that he was a retired employee from Google, that he had gone to Stanford, and that he had 3 master's degrees. And he also told me that he had played on the practice team for the 49ers. I feel like Eric is a con man who's mastered the art of manipulation.
Tiffany claims her ex-boyfriend Eric was a serial dater, a con man who apparently told the same lies to numerous women. Another ex-girlfriend, Sheikah, says she has worked as an investigator in the past and used her research skills to find out who Eric really was.
I feel like Eric is a con man who's mastered the art of manipulation. When I first saw Eric online, he said that he was a widower. When I first met Eric, he told me that he was a retired employee from Google, that he had gone to Stanford, and that he had 3 master's degrees. He had to up me because I have 2 master's degrees. And he also told me that he had played on the practice team for the 49ers, and that he was part owner in Secrets Resorts, and that he owned 3 restaurants. Yes, this picture is from our first official date, where he took me to the restaurant that he said he owned. And I really liked the fact that he was smart, and I liked that he was taller than me. Soon after meeting Eric, he told me that his wallet had been stolen, that he needed help paying for a hotel room because his parents were still in the Bahamas with his children. And I felt bad for Eric, and I decided that I would help him pay for a hotel room. Eric was great at breaking promises. Eric even said he wanted to get me an SUV for my birthday, and we drove off the lot with the vehicle. But a month later, I had to turn the vehicle back in because the wire transfer that did not come through. Eric even promised that he could get one of my relatives into Stanford and a job at Google. It was all a lie. Eric even said that he had cancer and it was in remission, and that was a lie. We even went house hunting, walked through 5 houses, and Eric let me pick out the house that I liked the most. It was all a big scam. When I started digging and found out the truth about Eric, I was shocked to find out that his ex-wife was not dead. She was living out of the country with his children, whom he told me he was raising as a single father. I felt betrayed, and I felt that he has some serious mental health issues. I have a sick feeling that Eric may try some sort of retaliation against me, that I went out and purchased a gun and a concealed pistol license. Eric is capable of anything, and he may escalate into murder like John Meehan from Dirty John.
Sheikah, thank you for being here. You've been listening to everything we've been talking about.
Thank you.
So, you've had all of that experience.
Yes, I've had all the experience, plus more.
Yeah, tell me the more.
Well, when I first met Eric, he said that his ex-wife had been killed by a drunk driver and that he was a single father. So that's initially what got me to look at his profile. I was concerned because he had his children posted up, and I told him, you know, you need to be careful because you could meet a mommy dearest type of woman. Your children look very young, and you're saying that you're looking for a wife. And so then we started talking from there. He told me that he was about to go in the hospital, and he would call me back when he finished. So after about 6 hours passed, I texted him and said, hey, are you okay? And then he said, no, I'm not. My wallet was stolen. So he said his wallet was stolen while he was under anesthesia at the hospital. About 2 days later, he was saying that he could not reach anyone in his family to help him out with the hotel. His parents were out of the country with his children, and he had just relocated from California. So I felt bad for him. I hadn't given help to people in a while, so I said, well, it won't really hurt me if I get him a hotel room. So I got him a hotel room.
For how long?
It was 2 days. So then he ended up back in the hospital, and I met him for the first time when he was in the hospital. He was having some complications from the stress of his wallet being stolen. So I went to go see him in the hospital, and he was in the hospital for a while. I was listening to what the doctors were saying and everything when I was in the room. He let me stay in the room while they were giving out his personal information. So it sounded legit to me.
But he was in there for stress from having his wallet stolen?
That's what I thought. He was in there for vertigo, but I believe that he was faking the vertigo symptoms and every other symptom that he was presenting in the hospital because
the doctors were in there with you? What were they saying? This is wallet syndrome, or what were they saying?
No, the doctors were acting like he really had vertigo, and they were running tests to figure out what was wrong with him. He racked up a $40,000 bill at the hospital that he did not pay. He said that he had insurance, and he did not have insurance. He gave the hospital a fake name. He also gave me a fake name. And it was all just a con because he didn't have anywhere to stay after the hotel.
Well, I made a list of lies he told you as well. We can add these to yours, that the parents were out of the country.
Yes.
But he told you his mother was dead.
Yes, his mother died.
So
he told me his biological father was dead, and that's a lie also.
Mother was out of the country, but told you he was dead. That he was inheriting millions.
He told me he had already inherited millions from his grandfather, who was in organized crime before he passed away.
But needed money for a hotel room.
Yes, because his wallet had been stolen while he was under anesthesia at
and
the
he
hospital.
had all the millions in that wallet?
No, he had his credit card and his ID, so he couldn't rent a hotel room without his credit card and his ID, and it was late in the evening.
Remission from cancer.
Yes, he was in remission from cancer. He had Asperger's, which made me stay with him a little bit longer because I thought that he had a disability, but all that was a lie. He mimicked all of those symptoms.
That he froze sperm before chemo.
Yes.
And that he was going to buy and give you a home and cars.
Yes.
And he was going to set up this way for you to get $90,000 a year.
Yes.
A job.
So that I could retire, so that I could volunteer instead of having to go to work every day.
Yeah. And these are the cars.
Yes, those were the cars.
Did you actually get one of these for a short time?
I got both of them.
And what happened?
I had one for a month and then the other one for a week. When the wire transfer didn't show up to the car lot, they called him and told him that he needed to return the cars. So the cars were returned.
He knows he's getting your hopes and dreams up here. You actually bought a wedding dress.
We were supposed to be getting married on the 29th of this month.
Now, this mansion that you claimed he offered to buy you, we have it located here. This is in a nice neighborhood, and I mean, it's a really nice place, right?
Yes, it is a really nice house, a 10,000 square foot house. And he fooled everyone, the contractors. He had to show proof of purchase for us to bring the contractors in. He did that. We had the real estate agents. We viewed 5 houses. He let me pick out the one that I liked the most. We viewed about 100 houses online. He was very particular about what he wanted in the house. He spent about 2.5 hours in there with the contractors.
And you actually bought a wedding dress.
Yes, I did, because we were supposed to be getting married on the 29th of this month.
Of this month?
Yes.
Okay. You know, I said before you came out, you were listening, and I said there's a much darker pathology here than just a pathological liar. And I mean, clearly, he's got a problem in lying, right?
Right.
We know that. But I said there's a darker pathology, and you got to wonder what I mean by that, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, people always ask me, they see something like this or worse, and they say, Dr. Phil, who does that? Who does that kind of thing? Put yourself in his position for a minute. When he's walking the two of you through this mansion, he knows he's not buying this mansion. He knows he's getting your hopes and dreams up here. He knows that he's getting your expectations up to a point where you're thinking, this is a man I love, we're going to have this dream home, we're going to have this great life. And the whole time, at some level, no matter how much he may delude himself, he knows this ain't happening. So this is the dark pathology. He is absolutely uncaring about what that's going to do to you when this all hits the wall and your dreams come crashing down. When you face the reality that you have been betrayed, played for a fool, your heart is broken, and everything that he presented for his hero moment so he could strut in the moment comes crashing down, he has no empathy at all for how you're going to feel. So it's not just that he told the lie, it's that he has no regard whatsoever for the feelings of another human being that has depended on him, stopped their life, invested on him, opened themselves up to him, and he knowingly leads them to the emotional slaughter. That's cold. That is a darker pathology. What kind of person would do that? That is a cold person that has not just a lack of regard for you, but a contempt. That is a contempt. That is a vicious way to treat someone. That's not just a passivity. That is an active, vicious way to treat someone. Now, Tiffany and Sheikah's ex-boyfriend, Eric, is here, as I said. He's been listening to this, so I'm going to ask him what he has to say about what I just said. He hasn't seen Tiffany in over 3 years and says, as for Sheikah, she is just as much a liar as he is. Well, we'll hear what he has to say next. We'll be right back.
Lying to me is so easy and natural. It's more natural than telling the truth. Every woman that I've ever dated has always said, you're a great guy, except for the fact that you can't tell the truth.
If you ask me, I think Eric is a ticking time bomb, and he could potentially be dangerous.
Just give Eric more time and he's going to end up really harming someone or killing someone.
I had to cut off all contact with him. It's been almost 3 years and I have not seen or spoken to Eric. What I would like to tell Eric face to face is, I feel nothing. I don't want anything to do with him. And the only thing that I have for you now is pity.
Tiffany and Sheikah share the same ex-boyfriend, Eric, and claim that their separate relationships with him were filled with his grandiose lies, empty promises, and abusive behavior. They say his behavior reminds them of the well-known con artist and criminal Dirty John Meehan. Now, Eric admits he stretches the truth, but he insists that he's never been abusive.
As far back as I can remember, I've always had an issue not being truthful with people. Lying to me is so easy and natural. It's more natural than telling the truth. I mix lies with the truth. There's never been a tactical thing in my brain where I say, okay, I'm gonna do A, B, C, and D and get an E as a result. Lying has damaged every single romantic relationship. Every woman that I've ever dated has always said, you're a great guy, except for the fact that you can't tell the truth. I've actually been told that by my exes. Even when I'm meeting somebody brand new, it could be a lie about what my name is, what do I do for work, how much money I make. I think I even lied about being in the NFL. I think I've said I went to Stanford. I think I've been to around 10 universities and I probably have 89 degrees. In the reality, I've never gone to college. Tiffany was my dream woman. I definitely lied because I wanted her to want me as much as I wanted her.
Eric is attracted to smart, pretty black women with big boobs.
And we probably would still be together if I had just told the truth. I've let a lot of people down because of my chronic lying. It makes me feel guilty and sad. My hope is that somebody can tell me what's wrong with me and either give me medication or surgery or something so that I can fix this.
Hey, Dr. Phil.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Well, Eric, you've not seen Tiffany for 3 years?
Yes, that's correct.
And how long since you've seen Sheikah?
Maybe a month, maybe not that long. It's hard to, hard to remember everything.
Right. How do you feel seeing Tiffany right now?
It's hard, very hard to see her because I know that I hurt her very badly. We have a son together, and so there's a different dynamic there.
If you have a son together, why haven't you seen her for 3 years? Have you seen the son?
Not for a while, no. Not for, I think it's been 3 years now. Tiffany cut all contact off with me, completely justified. I think she warned me and warned me and warned me, hey, listen, if you don't start telling me the truth, I'm gonna be done with you. And once I'm done with you, that's it. And that's exactly what she did, and I think what she did was 100% justified.
This was not about you telling the truth. This was about you establishing paternity if you genuinely wanted to be a father to your son. Let's make sure that we cover everything that it is that we need to cover. I told you that you telling the truth was only about you. It was what you wanted to do with your life. If you wanted to continue to live a lie, then continue to live the lie. But if you wanted to be active in our son's life, in your other son's life, and it was going to be important for you to actually be a stand-up citizen so they had somebody positive to look at. But establishing paternity was the first step. You didn't even bother to show up for the appointment so that you could sign the birth certificate. So let's call a spade a spade.
I asked you about why you hadn't seen your son, and you answered why you hadn't seen Tiffany. I'm asking you why you haven't seen your son.
The same thing is true. I mean, my son lives with Tiffany. Tiffany's a great mom. She takes care of him. The two kind of go hand in hand.
No, actually they don't. You have a relationship with your son, and you don't have a relationship with Tiffany, but you have a relationship with your son and a responsibility to your son as his biological father. Why are you not exercising those parental rights?
I think I struggled with, number one, and how to do that, when to do that, And also there's a part of me that feels like not quite sure that I even am worthy of being in his life.
I can agree. I can agree. I'm sorry, Dr. Phil, you don't know. My son is on the autism spectrum.
Right.
So when it comes to mimicry and it comes to showing the same behaviors as everything that it is that you see in your environment, having someone who can't tell the truth, having someone who can't care about anyone else, you don't even care about yourself, you're absolutely right. You're not worthy of being in his life.
You have 4 kids that you know about.
Yes.
You have 6 or more kids, it's not just 4. You probably have at least 20 children. You probably got someone pregnant while you were here.
So why are you seeing Sheikah? Why'd you see her a month ago?
Because we were in a relationship together.
And are you out of a relationship now?
Yes.
So are you done with this relationship now?
I'm totally done with him.
Okay. And you say that you have 4 kids that you know about.
Yes.
You have relationships with the other 3?
I have relationships with my 2 oldest sons. I speak with them over the phone. We video chat
But you
and
haven't
whatnot.
seen your sons in 11 years, and you have 6 or more kids. It's not just 4. So you're
You
lying
say I have
right
6
there.
6 or more
Just
kids.
because you haven't had a paternity test yet, you know that you were with those women. You probably have at least 20 children. You probably got someone pregnant while you were here. Nothing's funny. Nothing is funny. Nothing is funny about what you do to people. It's not funny at all.
Well, I kind of put together, because, I mean, I had to do a timeline here to figure this out with regard to your past relationships. Now, this is according to Sheikah, and, you know, we can figure this out. But so in 2001, you had your first child, a daughter, a relationship with a woman we'll just call woman 1. We don't need to name her. Then in 2002, you married Martha. You had your 2nd and 3rd children, and then you divorced in 2008. Then in 2010, you had a relationship with Courtney.
Yes.
Okay, this was 10 to 11. Then from 11 to 15, you had a relationship with Tiffany. And this is when you had your 4th child, a son.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in 2015, you had a relationship with another unnamed woman that we'll call number 2. You lived with her and her son. Then in 16, you had a relationship with an unnamed woman we'll call number 3. And according to Sheikah, you had your 5th child, a daughter, had a relationship with an unnamed woman we'll call number 4, had your 6th child, a daughter. And then in 16 to 18, relationship with Tori. And then in 18, relationship with Sheikah here. And so what you're debating is number 5 and number 6.
Yeah, I haven't had paternity. I don't know. Is there a possibility? Absolutely, there's a possibility. You know, I had relationships with those women. Some of them were short. Is there a possibility? Yes, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Why are you lying to these women?
That's why I'm here to find out. I've lied as far back as I can remember, probably since I could talk, if I had to guess. I've always lied to anybody and everything about everything. Could be something as simple as what I had for lunch or anything. And I'm here because I'm 37 years old. At some point in time, I would like to be able to have a relationship with anybody and everybody in my life so that I know it's truthful, they know it's truthful. But more importantly, I don't like the hurt that it causes.
He's playing the victim right now. This is not even the way that he normally acts. He works the room, he's very outgoing, and he's trying to play the victim card right now. You're not even acting like you
Who said
normally
anything
act.
about being a victim?
You're always
I'm
the
admitting
victim.
readily
That's how you got
that
us.
I've
You're always
lied
the victim.
and that I've hurt people.
But this is not how
There's
you
no
act.
victim.
You're very outgoing. You work the room, so this is not even how you normally act.
I haven't even looked at the room.
Mo,
But anyway.
You're
My
still
problem
working
is
it.
that you're admitting that you lied, but this isn't the first time that you've admitted it. You went through a whole gamut of everything that you said you lied to me about, and even in the midst of telling me all of that, you were still lying. So it's not a matter of, I don't realize I'm lying. There's got to be something more than that. You know exactly what it is that you're telling people. You can look them dead in the face and say, the sky is green. and it not mean anything to you.
So when did Eric begin to lie and deceive people? His mom says she knows exactly how it all started. So I'm going to bring her out after the break and see what light she can shed on all this. We'll be right back.
Through the years, I have gotten phone calls from women periodically. I would receive a call from a young woman, and she says, does he have a private plane and a runway? I said, no. I said, Eric is unemployed and lives in my basement.
Sheikah has told me several lies. She lied about being pregnant. She sent me a photoshopped sonogram.
I credit Sheikah 100% for being the whistleblower on Eric.
At one time in my career, I was an investigator for an agency. I found out there were 2 children that Eric failed to mention. I found out that I was just one of a dozen women he had conned.
She hacked into my tablet, my phone. Sheikah posted my picture and made 3 different profiles on a website and warned other women to stay away from me, that I was dangerous. She's like, I didn't do any of those things.
I was able to locate Eric's parents, and I was even put in contact with his mom, Jody.
When it comes to Eric's mom, I think that she would be able to connect a lot of the dots of what he's been doing.
Well, Eric admits that he has been deceiving others his entire life. He says when he talks, he gets excited and can't help it. When lies just start coming out of his mouth, he just gets all wound up and just starts saying things. His mother agrees and says, if Eric says the sky is blue, you should go outside and check.
When I think about what my son Eric has done, it breaks my heart. There is an ongoing joke in the family. Everybody knows that Eric lies. Eric's lying has separated us. I don't trust my son. I don't feel I can depend on my son to follow through with anything. He's almost 40 years old. I have said, you know, you've got to change. Nothing does change. Through the years, I have gotten phone calls from women periodically. I would receive a call from a young woman, and she says, does he have a private plane and a runway? I said, no. I said, Eric is unemployed and lives in my basement. I told one of his girlfriends, you need to run as fast as you can. Too bad she didn't listen. When Sheikah brought it to light to me what Eric had done even to her and what he had done to previous women, I was livid. I do know that my son has hurt people. It makes me feel horrible. I feel horrible as a mom. I'm like, what did I do wrong? It's always my dream to be a grandmother. I miss my 2 oldest grandchildren. There isn't anything I can do when Eric doesn't have custody of any of his children. I'm mad at Eric because I feel like I've missed out on being a grandparent. I don't get to do the normal things that grandmas get to do, like buy him toys. His life has spiraled so far. I mean, here he is, you know, he's gonna appear on Dr. Phil. That's a good sign that your life has spiraled so far out that somebody's taken notice.
Jody, thank you for being here, and I know you're being straightforward about this because you want him to get some help, right?
Oh, absolutely, Dr. Phil, completely. He needs the help, totally.
And, you know, I said that the darker pathology here was not just that he lies, but his apparent lack of empathy or caring for what it's doing to other people. He's not going to be buying a mansion in some neighborhood. You know that when you say it, right?
I think so, yes.
You think so? You either do or you don't.
I never set out, especially with Tiffany, I never set out to try to take from her. I think, honestly, even over and above my wife, Tiffany was the only woman that I was ever actually really in love with.
Didn't you tell Sheikah the same thing?
You said that that we were the only 2 that you were in love with, so now it's just Tiffany. But you were ready to marry me. You're ridiculous.
I was
You're
definitely
ridiculous.
not ready. Definitely not ready to marry you.
You're ridiculous.
Here's the bottom line.
No.
I want to tell you, I lied to you.
You did lie.
I lied to you.
You lied on the tape
Will you give me a chance
You
to
lied
talk?
about the tape on me too.
Did you lie
You've
as well?
been talking since I met you.
Did you lie well? Did you lie as well?
You've been talking. And guess what? I gave you a taste of your own medicine, and all of us knew. And all of us knew except for you. And you tried to get me pregnant, just like you tried to get everybody pregnant.
I tried to get you pregnant, but you have a tubal ligation.
That's your thing. Just like you have a vasectomy. Do you have a vasectomy? Because that's how you got child number 5 and 6. You lied and told those women that you had a vasectomy.
No, but he will be having a vasectomy.
You probably already got somebody pregnant here because you're nasty. You're nasty like that.
On Friday.
And I definitely don't need you And I
That's
definitely could get
awesome.
somebody else, and I made you look good. So remember
Then
that.
why did I have
Always
to block
remember
you?
that.
Why did I
Always
have to
remember
block
that.
you on
Because
social
you didn't
media?
want to hear what I had to say.
Hold on, what do you want to say?
I have a lot to say, actually. You know, I mean, I think as his mom, I think I know him probably better than anybody in this room. I
Maybe.
know what he's about. I know when his lies started. He's been doing it all of his life. He's lied to me. These guys, I feel for them. I do. I am so sorry for the actions of my son. And I think I've expressed that to both of you. He has a problem. This isn't something that a
So what
normal
is the
person
problem?
does.
What do you think is the problem?
I think there's a combination of things. I think he lacks self-esteem. I think he's been depressed. I think there's many things that have contributed to this whole scenario.
I never thought that it would come to that. I always thought that.
No, wait a minute. No. You knew she would never sleep a night in that house when you were walking through it telling her it was one day going to be hers. Well, we're out of time today. Tiffany and Sheikah are not the only ones to accuse Eric of constant lying and scams throughout their relationship. Tomorrow, the list continues as other women come forward with even more to say about Eric. Take a look.
Next time.
Children, women, UConn, everyone.
Asking me to have sex with you after we had broken up because you claimed that you had cancer.
You are literally a cancer.
Is a life of deception
He told her that you were racist.
That's a flat out lie.
How does that feel?
about to catch up with him.
His ex-wife, who he claimed was dead, is alive. What she has to say.
That's next time.
You will not want to miss this. Log on to drphil.com and share your thoughts on our message boards, and you can learn more tips about how to uncover a liar by going to my website. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and don't forget to check out my podcast, Fill in the Blanks. We'll see you tomorrow.
Today on Dr. Phil, Dad's a war-torn vet, but his out-of-control daughter
Bitch, did I quit smoking? No.
brings him to tears.
She's 15, drinking, getting in a serious car crash.
And now she's corrupting our 13-year-old.
Get off of me!
It was not easy getting her here.
She came to the show, but will she listen to Dr. Phil?
You smoked weed with your little sister? And how old was she?
She was 13. She just got high for the first time on good-ass weed.
You don't have a driver's license, but you take your parents' car.
Madison has stolen my car at least 30 times.
Wasn't it a week ago that you were in an 80-mile-an-hour car chase?
I don't want to be here.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Tom says that he has served 7 tours of duty in the Middle East, commanding troops with the rank of lieutenant colonel, but says that he has faced his scariest and most dangerous enemy in America, in his hometown, in fact, in his own home. And the person is his own 15-year-old daughter. Take a look.
Bitch, did I quit smoking? No. We just smoked a blunt. Oh my God, you're a dumbass.
So how could a teenage girl weighing barely 100, 120 pounds compel this man to live like a prisoner in his own home, barricading his wife and youngest daughter behind locked doors at night while he stands vigil? Well, Tom and Karen say the police have been called 100 times. and Madison has been charged 4 times with domestic abuse. Now, in addition, they claim Madison has stolen their car 30 times. And just last week, Tom says Madison was in an 80-mile-an-hour car chase while high on drugs with a friend carrying a gun, which ended up with the car being T-boned and totaled. If one troubled teen wasn't enough, Karen says Madison is now corrupting their 13-year-old daughter, Liz. Tom and Karen admit they have lost complete control of their daughters.
Madison drinks, smokes weed, does Xanax, just recently LSD, and now she's corrupting our 13-year-old.
I'm gonna Snapchat you. That's embarrassing.
Together, they terrorize the family.
I live in constant fear for myself, my wife, and for my youngest daughter.
I'm afraid of Madison because she's physically as well as verbally abusive. She has kicked holes in the walls.
Madison has been suspended from her school several times. Madison has called her principal a piece of
Tom calls the police on Madison when she refuses to go to school. Madison has stolen my car at least 30 times.
We coming?
Madison's most recent issue was an accident in a car chase. Madison and her boyfriend took off running. They were later picked up by the police. One time, Madison and my 13-year-old daughter had my 9-year-old in between them. They were pulling her arms in different directions. I told them to drop her arms. Madison became combative, swinging at me, kicking at me. Then my 13-year-old starts punching me in the back of the head. We called the police and both girls were charged with domestic battery.
I can't believe it's actually my daughter and my husband that are physically fighting.
This has got to be the most humbling, flipping thing I've ever been through in my life. I used to be a leader. I used to be in control of this situation. I shouldn't even gone there. This one's been going on too long. I've had it. Like I feel like I'm a piece of
A lot of the out-of-control behavior started after they saw the movie The Purge.
For 24 hours, it's legal to kill anyone that you want.
My husband and I were at the top of her purge list. Madison truly hates Tom. It's like a family divided.
Madison could one day kill me. I hate to say it, but sorry. She probably will.
Before we go any further, I just have to say thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
I know you've been over there not once, not twice, not 3, not 4, not 5, 7 tours of duty over there so we can remain safe, and God bless you for doing that, and I thank you. You're Lieutenant Colonel, retired now. I mean, you've faced bullets, you've faced terrorists, you've been at war. This has you in a complete confounding, and you're in the same position, right? You don't know what to do here.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm caught in the middle of all of it.
And do you consider this to be a desperate circumstance?
I do. I believe that we're at our wits' end.
She's stolen your car 30 times. You realize, do y'all know the statistics surviving an 80-mile-an-hour car crash?
Yes, sir. It's not
you know
good.
she should be dead, right?
Right,
Yes,
absolutely.
So when I say how desperate are we here, I'm just wanting to know if you recognize this girl's out of control, right?
Completely agree, sir.
Highly combative, no boundaries.
No boundaries.
No, she can't pump the brake, literally or figuratively.
Right, absolutely.
And the mortality rate in an 80-mile-an-hour car crash is exceedingly high. She should be dead right now. So I could be here talking to you about how to explain to her little sister how her big sister made mistakes and took her own life and is dead today. We could be having that conversation. But by the grace of God, we're not. And I just want to be sure we understand what we're dealing with here. To me, we've gotten a second chance here. Right. And it's time that we alter the narrative. And I could spend a lot of time talking about parenting and what you've done or not done, but I don't want to talk about fire prevention while we're standing in a burning house. The thing to do is get this fire under control, then we'll talk about parenting. But right now, we're standing in a burning house.
Absolutely. The call that came in that night for the accident, I thought was the call. The call that my daughter's
right
in the morgue.
Well, because I want to take a look at Madison's behavior right now. And I kind of made a list here of the behaviors just that she admits to. She says she just cusses out her mother. Mm-hmm. She's bullying other kids on social media. She physically assaults you, correct? This isn't an occasional. She's physically assaulted a classmate. She steals the car and goes for joyrides. Now, we're talking like 30 times here.
Excessively. I don't know how many times.
Okay,
honestly.
Unauthorized house party. So you guys are gone, right?
Right. This is in the beginning of, we had some behaviors.
And what was the consequence of this house party? What did this wind up costing you?
This was...
20,000?
Yeah.
You said?
20 grand?
Yeah, we had things stolen.
Then damage to the house. We're talking 20,000 bucks here. Yes, sir. She's how old?
Just turned 15.
Yeah, so she's 15, smoking dope, dropping acid, taking Xanax, drinking. Her mouth, we'll don't even need to talk about. She's kicking hole in the walls and she's skipping school. Now, this is just what she admits. Now, according to you guys, it goes further because she's been suspended from school 4 times, charged with domestic battery 4 times, charged with grand theft auto, taken the car 30 times, $10,000 of damage to stolen cars.
My car.
Yeah, this was stolen by a friend of hers.
Right.
And she was in it.
She had taken the vehicle, picked up friends along the way, stopped. They got out of the vehicle, and the girl that she was with went back to my vehicle with my 13-year-old daughter to get her phone and proceeded to jump in the car and take off. Maddie was not in the vehicle.
Now, she's been Baker acted 3 times, right? That's where you put her on a psychiatric hold for 72 hours because the law determines that she's a threat to herself or others.
One of which was after that house party.
Right. Then this is the $15,000 to $20,000 items and damage. This is the T-bone of the car. Now, there was a friend in that car that had a gun.
They had robbed somebody for Xanax. They had robbed them, got in the vehicle, and then sped off, and the people they robbed were chasing them.
So they had armed robbery.
Right, but we're not sure who had the weapon. Maddie stayed in the vehicle. There were 2 boys. There were 2 boys and 2 girls in the car at the time of the incident.
But she was with them.
Right.
And fleeing after an armed robbery. In whose car?
Yeah, it wasn't her car. It was the girl, a friend of hers.
Her older friend.
Okay. She's cussed out the school principal. She damaged the door. She's used racist language. Is there anything that she has a boundary on? No.
I don't feel like she does.
Completely against all the values that
and morals
we thought we were teaching her.
At night, I put our house in complete lockdown.
I don't know if they're picking the lock, and I would take this, wrap it around a couple times.
I don't know if Madison is going to attack us with the knife or not, but I don't want to find out.
And later,
you've kicked me so many times.
When I'm on the floor because I can't fight
yeah, but you've kicked me in the chest, you kicked me in the neck, you've hit me in the head.
I live in constant fear for myself, my wife, and for my youngest daughter. It's like we're under siege in our own home.
This is what I have to do to ensure our safety.
At night, I put our house in complete lockdown.
There's a latch right here. Push this one, latch it,
lock it. I put my 9-year-old in there with my wife in our bedroom. I lock it on both sides.
I don't know if they're picking the lock, and I would take this, wrap it around a couple times.
And then I go up to my 9-year-old's room, and behind the door, I'll put a bunch of toys. So if someone wants to potentially come in and get me, they'll knock down all the toys and it'll wake me up and I can go. I don't know if Madison is going to attack us with the knife or not, but I don't want to find out.
The teen is committing the crime. The parent is serving the time. They are actually imprisoned in their own home. When Tom retired from the Army after 27 years of service, he says he entered a new war zone in his own home. Now, Tom and his wife, Karen, say they have lost control of their 15-year-old, car stealing, drug taking, and abusive daughter, Madison. Now, when we talked to her, completely different story. She said, I'm just a fun-loving teen. They just blow everything out of proportion. We talked to the school. I mean, you got a letter from the school regarding her attendance. They say she had 7 excused absences, 18 unexcused absences for a total of 25, 10 tardies. They say your child's absences this school year have been excessive. Yeah. So how's she doing academically? She's not going to school.
She's failing.
I don't think she's passing the course.
So with all of these crimes going on, you've not done much on the prosecutorial side.
No, sir. It's been me on this one. We've discussed it, but that's correct. I've dropped them over and over again.
Okay, and you dropped the charges. Why?
She's my daughter, and I don't want to negatively impact her future. As much as I want this to be a difference maker for her to go through the judicial system, in the end, I don't want to crucify her. I want her to have an opportunity at going to college, getting her graduate degree, not only the undergrad, but getting the graduate degree, having a nice family, and moving on and having a bright future. And I feel like this would be a showstopper. But I recognize where we're at with all this activity. She might
So
not.
you've not held her accountable. In fact, you've dropped the charges, gone and picked her up, gotten her out. How's that working for you?
It's not.
So, I mean, I'm one of those people that believes first loss, best loss. If you'd drawn a hard line in the sand and she had dealt with hard consequences the first time and realized when I choose the behavior, I choose the consequences, and they are dire, do you think that she might have thought twice about jumping in a car, participating in an armed robbery, getting in a serious car crash? This wasn't an accident, this was a crash. There's a difference between an accident and a crash.
Right.
I would hope so. We've been so many times about how she doesn't care.
When we do discipline, there's no line in the sand. We discipline whether it's the taking away of the phone or telling her she can't go out, and she's jumped off the second story of our house to get out. We'll tell her, no, you can't do this, no, you can't go there. She will literally, or she'll wait till we go to sleep and leave for days, not just, a couple hours, overnight. She's been picked up at a park at 2 a.m. with my 13-year-old daughter. Police knocking on my door at 2 a.m., bringing them home.
Well, my philosophy is you avoid confrontation with your children at all cost. Anything you can do to avoid confrontation, you do, because you want to work with them. You want to guide them. You want to redirect them. You want to work with them. You avoid confrontation if you can. But if you have a confrontation, you don't ever lose. If she wants to up it, then you see that and you up it. She wants to up that, you see that and you up it. That's why when I got involved, we raised the price of poker, did we not?
You did.
Because we said, she's not going to want to come deal with these consequences, so I said, I'm going to bring in some transporters, because you're going to have to stop saying, we want you to do this, we want you to get this help, we want you to do this, and start being a parent and say, you are going to do this. It is my job as a parent to get you where you need to be when you need to be there. And you do what you have to do to make that happen. Now, if she doesn't respond to that, that's on her, but you have to do what you have to do to get done what you need to get done. Your job is to prepare her for the next level of life. And right now, that's not happening. And you say you don't want to crash her life. I mean, look what's happened so far. Do you think a college admission committee, a job review check on her is not going to bring up this school record, is not going to bring up juvie, is not going to bring up all of these?
I do.
I mean, come on.
Right.
Either way, I don't.
Who are we kidding? The idea is, are we going to keep her alive? She should be dead as we speak.
Right.
Or she's going to kill you in a fit of rage. So exactly what drives Madison to steal her parents' car, physically assault her dad, and act out in such an explosive way? Well, I'm going to ask her. She is here. It was not easy getting her here. That was practically a whole other show, I can tell you. We'll be right back.
If I want to get out of my bed, let me get out of my bed. I don't care. Get off of me. Get away!
And later, you have told them you're going to do what you want to do when you want to do it, and there's not a damn thing they can do about it, and they're calling that bluff.
I don't want to be here. She's supposed to go smoke 2 blunts with us, and another person after that that's gonna smoke 4. What the f? Bitch, did I quit smoking? No. We coming. Second biggest cookie.
You have to understand, I obviously have no authority over this child whatsoever. All I can do is make suggestions to the parents. They're the ones that have legal authority and responsibility for this young woman. So we made a recommendation. They adopted that recommendation and arranged for transporters to accompany Madison here to LA. This was done to ensure the safety of everyone involved. Here's what happened to Madison and her sister Liz when the transporters arrived in the middle of the night to get Madison out of bed.
It's 3 a.m. We're going to be going to do our intervention with Madison in a few moments. Hopefully she doesn't give us too many problems.
Good here to take your Dr. Phil, honey. I love you.
Madison.
My mom and I already agreed that that's not happening.
Your mom just came in here and told you she changed the plan.
Go out of my room. Stop trying to touch me.
No,
if I want to get out of my bed, let me get out of my bed. I don't care. Get off of me. Get off of me. No, I don't care.
Madison, if I have to step out for a minute, can you just talk to me?
Y'all are not on my side. Why would I want her to leave?
I gotta go. Come on. Please.
Get off!
Stop. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Get away! You're a I never want to talk to you again! Never! Please! Where's my phone at?
We could totally do that for you, okay? You're doing fantastic.
No, my phone!
We've got it, honey.
Okay, now, do the two of you feel guilty about that?
Wish it never led to this. Wish we didn't have to have this come to this kind of result. Wish we could have had a better path. Feel deeply responsible and accountable.
Do you feel guilty about being in the situation you're in, or do you feel guilty about a transporter taking her out of the house that night?
Both. I can't believe it's developed into this.
Was it the right thing to do?
Absolutely.
Was it the right thing to do?
Yeah, it was.
It was your decision. Do you regret making the decision?
Not for a second. I forced myself to get over it for all the right reasons.
No, I don't care.
You understand, this is a family dynamic. Parenting has contributed to this. Her choices now are contributing to this. This is a family dynamic. But however we got here, the number one thing is you have to save her from herself. If you are responsible, let's say you are 100% guilty of making bad parental decisions that have put her in this position, it's still your responsibility to get her off the edge of that cliff, and she is damn sure on the edge of a cliff.
Right, and we don't know how to do that. That's where we're at right now.
Well, one thing was to do what you did to get her where she is now, because if you leave her there, what's she going to do? Get in another car? This time she's going 100. This time she gets killed. At some point, you have to look back and say, I did everything I could to get her out of the life. The day before Madison left for Los Angeles with a transporter, she agreed to sit down with producers to explain that her parents, not her, but her parents, are really the problem. Take a look.
I'm just a fun-loving teen, and my parents don't get me. We just smoked a blunt. They exaggerate a lot of stuff and blow it way out of proportion. I don't remember calling my principal a piece of shit. I do not have a kill list. I don't hit my dad. He's 220 pounds. If I even swing on him, I'm in a chokehold. First time my dad ever hit me was in 5th grade. I disrespected my mom, and he spit in my face and beat me until I had 2 black eyes. He apologized and was crying, but it hasn't stopped. I am not corrupting my sister. She's got high for the first time on good-ass weed. I have shown her some things that I am not so proud of. There you go. Oh my God. I have smoked weed before. I dropped acid and I got into a car accident. I get very angry and frustrated with my parents. My dad is a control freak. My mom is very passive aggressive. If I could have a different set of parents, I would. I definitely would. Kind of hard to be calm when you're fighting for your life.
Madison, you seem upset. Tell me what you're thinking and feeling right now.
It's the other way around. It's the exact opposite of everything that I've heard you say so far.
Straighten it out for us.
With everything that happened with my sister, I've only tried to be there to support her and love her. And I've told her, I've made bad decisions and I know that I've messed up, but at the end of the day, I want to be successful. I want to do good things with myself. It's not I'm a teenager and I know I've made bad decisions, but that's not who I am.
Okay, when were you involved in the armed robbery and the car crash? Wasn't it a week ago that you were in an 80-mile-an-hour car chase that ended up in a T-bone car crash?
We were going 40 miles an hour and we were just turning left into a Publix and we hit a car.
Well, the car hit you.
The car hit us.
Police said that in between the mall and Publix.
Okay, you're 15.
Yes, sir.
Do you do drugs?
I've smoked weed. I'm not a drug addict. That's not who I am.
Well, here's a video of Madison admitting to smoking cigarettes and marijuana that she uploaded to social media.
Bitch, did I quit smoking? No. We just smoked a blunt. We're about to go smoke with someone. This guy, he has 2 blunts waiting on us, and after that, we're matching someone 4 blunts.
You were saying you had 2 blunts, then 4 blunts, and stop smoking? No.
It was just partying.
I'm sorry?
It was partying over summer, hotel parties, and getting into trouble.
What gives you the right to take someone else's car, no remorse whatsoever? In fact, you're proud of it. You're posting it on social media.
We coming.
You don't have a driver's license, do you?
No, sir.
But you take your parents' car and go driving around?
Twice over summer.
Okay, I don't think that's true, which means I don't think you're telling the truth, but let's just say that's true. What gives you the right to take someone else's car and go driving around on the streets without a driver's license? First, it's not your car, and second, you don't have a license. What gives you that right?
It doesn't.
Well, apparently it does. Take me through it. What goes through your head at that moment that says, I have the right to take someone else's car and go drive around on the street?
Nothing.
Nothing goes through your head?
I don't know what I was thinking. It was wrong.
Well, here's a video of Madison driving her mother's car and taking her keys that she uploaded to social media.
Well, no, Thomas. I did not do it.
We coming. Where are these even from?
Your social media.
What social media?
Was that you?
Yes, but
where did you get these
from?
What difference does it make where it came from? That's you.
Yes, sir. I just want to know where.
What difference does it make? What difference does it make? You have no remorse whatsoever. In fact, you're proud of it. You're posting it on social media. Look at me, woo, woo, woo. We're coming, got the keys, here I am. You're pretty proud of that.
I don't know.
I'm sorry?
I don't know.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain away video evidence, isn't it?
It's just like, it happened so long ago. Like I obviously, like I've learned my lesson from it and I would never do it again.
The car crash was last week?
I wasn't driving.
I didn't say you were.
I was in the back seat.
Yeah, and you were doing what?
What do you mean?
Where were you leaving?
The mall, parking lot.
Were you being chased?
We were just being followed.
Why?
I don't want this on TV. I don't want to talk about that on TV.
Yeah. You were being chased because someone had an issue with you, right?
It wasn't directly with me, but yes.
Yeah. You were involved in something you shouldn't have been involved in, true?
Yes, sir.
So that was last week. That's not so far long ago that you can't remember it.
Yes, sir.
So explain that to me. And if you want to waffle around about that, I'll explain exactly what happened. I'll explain exactly what you'd been doing, exactly who you were trying to get away from. Or we can just talk about it abstractly and you can answer the questions honestly. I'll go either way.
It's escalating, Maddie.
It's not.
You could have died last week.
It's not only you, but when you impact someone else.
What about you, Dad? What about everything you put us through? Why is this all about me?
It'll be, give him just a minute. We're responsible for a lot of things here, so just hang on. But
why
when
do you think all this stuff happened?
the elderly couple that hit you, the gentleman in the passenger seat was blind.
Yes, I know that he was
They were
blind, and I know
70,
that it was our
75.
fault.
Right. You're impacting others, and that's where it's not only you, but for it to reach out and touch others, it's got to stop.
You have told them you're going to do what you want to do when you want to do it, and there's not a damn thing they can do about it, and they're calling that bluff. They've given you every opportunity to say, look, let's calm down here. Let's get this under control. Has your dad made mistakes? Absolutely, he's made mistakes. Has your mother made mistakes? Absolutely, she's made mistakes. Are they going to have to straighten that out? Not a question in the world. They're going to have to straighten that out.
Yes, sir.
I'm not even half started on them. But in the meantime, you're putting your life in danger,
yes, sir.
And you are a role model for your sister.
Yes,
and
sir.
if you're telling, you're saying, well, I've pointed out to her things that I shouldn't have done, and I'm just kind of trying to counsel her along a better direction. You and I both know that's not right. Have you smoked weed with your little sister?
Over summer.
And how old was she?
She was 12.
She just got high for the first time on good-ass weed. Smoked one blunt already, this bitch is gone. Oh my God. I'm gonna Snapchat you, that's embarrassing.
Have you smoked weed with your little sister?
Over summer.
And how old was she?
She was 13.
She was 12.
Well, here's a video of some of your little sister's antics drinking and smoking marijuana that was posted on social media so she could brag about it.
She just got high for the first time on good-ass weed. Smoked one blunt already, this bitch is gone. She's supposed to go smoke with another person who's gonna smoke 2 blunts with us and another person after that that's gonna smoke 4. What the Oh, there you go. Oh my God. I'm gonna Snapchat you, that's embarrassing. How are you not embarrassed? Oh my God, you're dumbass.
You're counseling her?
I said, like, since then, since that all happened over summer, every video that you've shown has been over summer.
So that was a busy summer, but over the last 6 months, everything's been okay?
It's just like, since then, it's all been between, like, my sister, me, and my dad.
So you're basically not going to be told what to do, right? Your parents aren't going to tell you what to do.
They do tell me what to do.
But you don't do it. I mean, you do what you want to do, right?
No.
Why are they having to lock themselves in their room at night?
You don't even have a lock on your door.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. Our doors don't have locks
Yours
on
don't.
there.
Mine does.
Honey, you know, you see me do it. Not only our double doors, but then around through the master.
I have to lock up the keys. I have to lock up my purse.
The laundry room.
You stole my,
And you know I
my
sleep in
ATM
Emma's room.
card. You've taken pictures of it. Used Uber.
It's not a new revelation. I know you know.
And you are an influence over her. She's watching what you're doing. Whenever it's disrespect or, you know, not complying or doing what you want to do.
He's the victim now. It's all, he's the victim.
I'm just saying that what you're saying is not correct. When you're saying that you're counseling
what I've
her,
heard you say is not correct.
Why do you do the things you do? Why do you do drugs? Why do you take the car? Why do you try to run away?
Nobody. We have nobody. The last time on New Year's. You want to tell them what happened on New Year's when we went to a hotel? What happened, Dad? When you hit me and I had blood all over my shirt and I sat in a cell until 3 o'clock in the morning and my mom came and got me.
she's talking about when I took her phone and pounding on my bathroom door so hard that you broke it.
I'm talking about what happened. That was like 3 hours before the whole incident where I'm in your bathroom. I tried to open up a drawer and you came and you just punched the back of my head and I fell on the floor and you dragged me to the front of the house.
Didn't punch you in the back of the head.
You did. I fell on the floor.
You in the back of the head. You turned around. You were ready to go.
What do you mean I'm ready to go? I was on the floor. I can't fight back. You're 220 pounds.
Let me answer, okay? Just breathe for a second. But remember what you said to your mom and I, right as you were doing that. You're not going to give me back my cell phone? Oh, hell no. I'm going to go through that house and I'm going to find it.
I didn't. I opened up a drawer.
No. You went through the laundry room. You dumped it. Then you went in our bathroom and you dumped it. You were in the garage for something previously because I heard.
I was looking in drawers and I went into your bathroom. I opened up a drawer.
You've kicked me in the so many times.
When I'm on the floor because I can't fight back.
But you kicked me in the nuts, you've kicked me in the chest, you kicked me in the neck, you've hit me in the head. When you get into a mode where I don't know how badly you're trying to hurt me.
So just knock me out.
No, I don't want to. Maddie, I can if I want to. I have never done that.
You go to do it. You go to do it.
And Maddie, just so you know, the judge has said this to you and every police officer too.
Because you're a manipulative liar.
Stop, Maddie, stop. At 220 pounds.
Exactly.
And don't you think I've learned some things over 30 years of service?
Exactly.
And all the
that's what
deployments.
I'm saying.
If I were to do something to you, don't you think that you would be disfigured, at least in a hospital bed? The judge said that to you. Remember that? That I am completely convinced that your father at 220 pounds can defend himself if he needs to. And young lady.
You have.
Maddie, I think
you
selectively.
are not the victim.
You're trying to kind of paint this a different way that.
No, you're trying to paint it a different way.
Okay.
Because you're not the victim. And everything that I've done has only been because I needed an outlet to get away from everything that's happened.
Stop talking for a minute.
I don't want to be on the show with her.
You don't get to make that decision. Do you not understand? You're the child here.
I want to be here.
Well, you're making a serious mistake right now.
Before all of this happened, so before it all escalated and we became this violent family that between
So then why did you want to leave? No, why did you want to leave my dad if everything is okay?
Listen,
if everything's okay, then why were you looking at condos? Why were you trying to remove us?
Can you stop for a second, please? Why did you take the car when we first moved here?
You took me from my friends. You keep moving me.
Did you not hear though? That's not your right, Maddie.
And you
I understand it's not my right. I understand that.
And you did it again. And you there. I don't even know how many times. There's pictures of you taking pictures of my car and where it's parked, so that you know where to park it when you came back.
You bragged to us about that.
You just saying something isn't true when the facts dictate otherwise. You may have been able to run that by them before, but that doesn't work anymore. So you might as well decide that you're going to start owning the facts and telling the truth. Because you need to realize that what has worked for you before is not working for you anymore.
What do you
Before
mean
you've
by
been
that?
able to scream and yell and throw a fit and get them to back off and let you do what you wanted to do. Have you noticed that
You
is not
chased me around
working?
the block to make sure that I came here.
I need to make sure.
So obviously, no. I don't just throw a fit and get away with it.
Then
You go
why do you-
I went to babysit. You act like I'm such a bad kid. I went to babysit.
Okay, stop talking for a minute. You need to realize you are at a threshold moment where you need to decide you're either going to tell the truth or you're not.
It's the exact
No, I'm telling you,
I'll put my hand on a Bible.
You
It's
need
not-
to stop and listen to what I'm saying. You need to decide that you're either going to tell the truth or you're not. And don't think that I don't do my homework.
I know that you do. I've seen your show, Dr. Phil. I know.
All right, Madison's grandmother, Jan, is the one who wrote into the show begging for my help. We're going to add her to this conversation when we come back.
Yeah, I don't want to be on the show with her.
Well, you don't get to make that decision. Do you not understand? You're the child here. You don't dictate terms. You need to get that through your head. That's the problem here. We've had the tail wagging the dog.
I don't want to be here.
Well, you're making a serious mistake right now. Okay. No, let her go. She has no idea where she's going, but she's getting ready to find out.
I can't do it.
Well, we're out of time today, but we have so much more to cover. Tomorrow, we'll meet Tom's mother, Jan, who says she fears for her son's life and blames all of Madison's behavior on her daughter-in-law, Karen. Now, Jan claims Karen is a two-faced, manipulative liar who failed the girls as a mother. Clearly, tensions run high as one of the guests walks off the stage, but doesn't walk away from the drama. Take a look.
Next time on Dr. Phil.
I don't want to be here.
She left the stage.
I can't do this.
Now,
she is ready to come back out.
She's back.
Why did you leave?
Because I don't want to be around you.
And still belligerent.
I don't want to go to a program.
You don't want to be at home either.
Shut up. I'm not talking to you.
They think she's corrupting her younger sister.
My 13-year-old used to be the sweetest little girl.
When they're together, the drama
Don't go back out on that stage.
is twice as intense.
You're the worst parents I have ever seen. I hate you!
That's next time.
Believe me, you do not want to miss this. We'll see you then. Today on Dr. Phil. Dramatic crime scene photos, damning interrogation tapes, and twisted lies. She's been silent, but now she's ready to expose her daughter's lies.
There is no way it's him.
I wanted with words for them to throw her up against the wall and say, "You're done."
That was a big turning point for me. There's something wrong in this case.
You guys are going to find this so interesting, I promise you. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Today, dramatic crime scene photos, damning interrogation tapes, and twisted lies. We're going to take you behind the scenes of what started as a police investigation into a missing, beloved mother, but ended up being a kidnapping hoax. On November 2nd, 2016, supermom Sherry Papini disappeared from her home in Redding, California. She vanished seemingly into thin air. Her iPhone and headphones, tangled with a strand of her long blonde hair, were the only clues left behind. All signs pointed to an abduction. She was young, pretty, petite, and reportedly jogging all alone on a deserted rural road. Then what seemed to be a miraculous turn, just 3 weeks after she went missing, Sherry Papini reappeared. She was emaciated, battered, burned, and bruised. A heavy chain hung around her waist. She was taken against her will, or was she? Was this the real-life Gone Girl? Sherry's story captivated the nation. But that's all it was, just a story.
The report of a missing wife and mother of two on November 2nd, 2016, who disappeared while out on a jog, shocked the tight-knit community of Redding, California.
I found her phone and it's got like hair ripped out of it, like in the headphones. So I'm like totally freaking out.
The nation was watching and locals were on edge.
We used to walk, me and my husband. And I said, I'm not going to go walk by myself no more.
A California mom missing for more than 3 weeks has been found alive after an apparent abduction.
She was bound with restraints, but was able to summon help from a passing motorist who then notified law enforcement.
34-year-old Sherry Papini was taken to a hospital and reunited with her husband after her alleged captors let her go about 100 miles from her home.
CHP is advising she is heavily battered.
She was found bruised and tied up with a chain along Interstate 5. Papini was emaciated, weighing just 87 pounds, and had a brand burned into her shoulder.
We are looking for a dark-colored SUV with 2 Hispanic females.
After years of sticking to her story that she was abducted by 2 women, Sherry Papini is reportedly ready now to come clean and admit that she faked it all. Prosecutors say instead of being abducted, she was actually hiding out with an ex-boyfriend in Costa Mesa.
Accompanied by her husband, sobbing at times when confronted by police over the false claims that she was kidnapped in 2016 by 2 Hispanic women, whom she says beat her, when in fact she, with the help of her ex-boyfriend James Reyes, inflicted the injuries on herself.
You guys are going to find this so interesting, I promise you. For 5 years, investigators were unraveling Sherry's twisted web of deceit and manipulation. She is finally behind bars, and today we're going to show you the shocking police evidence photos and interrogation tapes that revealed Sherry's lies. Now, I'm joined by Captain John Pat Kropholler. He is retired from Shasta County Sheriff's Office. He was one of the first on the scene when Sherry was found and went on to lead the investigation relentlessly. Now, also joining the conversation is criminal defense attorney Mark Eiglar. It's good to see you again, Mark. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now, Captain, where were you when she first disappeared?
That's one of those days you don't forget really easily. So
right.
I was a lieutenant in charge of patrol at the time, and I was actually just pulling into my driveway when my patrol sergeant called me. He was on the scene of this call, and very, very competent investigator. We were detectives together at one time, and he said, "Hey, I need you to come out to this scene because what I'm seeing here is not ending up."
So from the very beginning, did you smell a rat here?
Yeah, there were certain things, especially that night, that some nuances and things that just didn't seem right. And quite frankly, her husband, oftentimes or not, the husband's involved in these disappearances, and his actions and things he did that day kind of were leading us towards him.
Well, let's start unraveling this. First, take a listen to the 911 call Keith made when he discovered Sherry was gone.
911, what is your emergency? CHP transfer. Keith is on the line. Hello, can I help you?
Yeah, so I just got home from work, and my wife wasn't there, which is unusual, and my kids should have been there by now from, daycare. So I was like, oh, maybe she went on a walk. I couldn't find her, so I called the daycare to see what time she picked up the kids. The kids were never picked up, so I got freaked out, so I hit, the Find My iPhone app thing, and it said that it showed her phone, at our end of our driveway. We don't have really good service.
Okay.
Not the end of our driveway, but the end of our street. So I just drove down there, and I saw her phone with her headphones because she started running again. And I found her phone, and it's got, hair ripped out of it, in the headphones. So I'm like totally freaking out, thinking like somebody like grabbed her.
Okay, what's your address?
I guess he went driving down the street and he saw these sitting on the side of the road.
Yes, and that was another thing that kind of stuck out in my mind when I was talking to him, because he had the forethought to take a photograph of how he found the phone. And when I asked him why he did that, he said that he'd want to be a detective and thought that it was important for him to take an evidence photograph prior to collecting it.
Yeah. Now, knowing all we know now, it's almost scary how convincing she was telling her story to police right after she returned home. Take a look at this and see how convincing she was.
I know this is hard. I'm gonna take pictures of your face, okay? It's like I got up right there. It'll grow back.
The first day with the zip ties, getting out of them, because they were behind my back. So I pulled them, I did one of these moves. And that's what this scar right there is from, is the very beginning, when I got them off. There was a chain around my waist.
Okay.
So the chain had, okay, sorry, the chain, so here's a pretty stick figure.
Let's draw the whole room. You want to do that?
Sure.
We'll lay out the whole room.
There was this pull, stupid pull was attached here, came down, went all the way up. Pull is the only reason why I was there. The cable was here, and it needed a turn. I'm sorry for swearing. And then the cable I could reach all the way to the bed, couldn't reach the door, couldn't reach the window, could reach the bed. There was at all times there was a bucket in the closet. That's what I used to go to the bathroom in.
Okay, the whole time she's saying all this, it's all made up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mark, when something like this happens, this makes it tough for real victims, right?
Without question. Listen, I would zealously defend her and anyone accused of a crime because that's my job. As a human being, I find her behavior abhorrent. I think that she got off light. I think that she sets back victims in future investigations. And worse, law enforcement. They have precious hours that they devoted to her. And quite frankly, I don't think that she was sentenced enough.
We have to take a break. Coming up, we're going to show you the moment detectives put Sherry on the spot and confronted her with all of her lies. And I really want to ask Mark what he thinks about her talking to them without a lawyer there to begin with. Her response was not what you might think. We'll show you that shocking interrogation tape right after the break.
The reason why you lost so much weight is because you stopped eating. The reason why you got a rash on your arm is because you cleaned his house. The reason why the brand is because he went to the store, bought the brand new tools, and branded you.
And later, when she reappeared, she was pretty beat up.
Oh, yes. Really bad. It was actually shocking. And I've seen a lot of injuries in my career. And she would have the boyfriend actually knock hockey pucks into her and then use the stick to roll down her skin to create bruising.
According to published reports, James Reyes was once engaged to the California mom whose disappearance in 2016 riveted the nation. The FBI now claims Sherry was actually holed up for 3 weeks in Costa Mesa, California with an ex-boyfriend. According to authorities, he admitted to helping Sherry run away because she claimed she'd been abused by her husband. According to court documents, the ex-boyfriend says Sherry asked him to board up the windows so no light would come in. During their time together, the ex told investigators that he slept on a couch in the living room and she had her own room, and that she hit herself to create bruises and asked him to brand her shoulder.
Well, That's some commitment. Supermom Sherry Papini's disappearance dominated the headlines when she vanished in 2016 and then showed up alive 3 weeks later. Sherry claimed she had been kidnapped and tortured by 2 Hispanic women who planned to traffic her. But while the world thought Sherry was a victim, behind the scenes, investigators were uncovering that she was not as innocent as she seemed. After years of suspecting she was making up the details of her abduction, investigators had what they needed to confront Sherry. So take a look at this newly released police tape, and then we'll talk about it.
You've told us so many truths in this situation. The reason why you can describe the room is because you stayed in the room in the dark for hours, for days on end. The reason why you lost so much weight is because you stopped eating. The reason why you got a rash on your arm is because you cleaned his house. The reason why the brand is because he went to the store, bought the branding tools, and branded you. The reason why your nose was broke is because of a hockey stick. I know all of those things, and I know there was no sex. I know all of that because he passed a polygraph test that said it's not an abduction. She asked me to come get her.
No.
I rented a car.
No.
I drove up and picked her up. He passed the polygraph test, Sherry.
What do you think about that looking at it now?
Yeah, you know, we had a lot of answers before we went into that interview. So just incredible that giving her all these off-ramps in order to tell us the truth, she just wasn't going to do it.
I'm outraged by how nice they were being to her. At first, I get it. At some point, I wanted with words for them to throw her up against the wall and say, "You're done, honey. We know what's going on."
Why do you think she was allowing herself to be interrogated without a lawyer there?
Oh, because she's the smartest person in the room. She's the orchestrator of this whole thing. This is all a master plan. This wasn't someone who escaped from her life and then said, "My goodness, I need a reentry plan." This was all planned out from the very beginning. So this was part of it. Her speaking to law enforcement was part of her thrill. It's part of her high promotion of herself.
Now, this was all theater. That tape we just looked at before we went to the break, she's talking about being chained and tortured, and she's recounting that, which would be traumatic for anyone. But did you notice when she was drawing it, she was giggling? Play that, just that clip where she's drawing the chain.
Okay, sorry. The chain. So here's a pretty stick figure.
Let's draw the whole room. You want to do that?
Sure.
We'll lay out the whole.
That's incompatible with what you would expect for someone
Correct.
recounting a traumatic situation. We know now that Keith was buying all this for a while.
Yes.
So keep in mind, when investigators told Sherry that they were onto her, this was a moment that Keith, her loyal supporter, learned that his perfect wife had been lying to him this entire time. So look at his body language in this video, and what you're going to see is him physically distancing himself from her. It starts out being 2 and 2, and then pretty soon it becomes 3 and 1. Take a look.
I think we need my lawyer. This isn't making any sense.
No, it's not making sense, Sherry. The parts that
That
don't make
it's James.
No, the parts that don't make sense are that you're accusing 2 females who abducted you when it was James. The part that you were branded, James did it. He told me he did it. Who would sit there and say, I branded Sherry on her right shoulder blade? Who does that?
And told us how and showed us the letters that matched the brand.
I mean, if that wall wasn't there, he would be in the parking lot.
But here's the shocking part. He hears all of this evidence clearly showing that this was a hoax, that she made it up. He then stays with her and believes for 2 years until she's indicted that this is all legit. I learned that from him. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a time that after this case was over that Keith and I spoke on the phone. He actually called me. And she had told him that the fact that she wasn't arrested after the interview was just that was just an interview tactic used by the police, and that the story was still true, and he bought into that.
Yeah.
She was convincing.
Coming up, Sherry's family reacts to finding out she lied about her abduction. And then I'm going to show you some more things that I think will jump out at you. We'll be right back. Her ego got in her way because you would never have let her talk to law enforcement, would you?
Sherry's husband is now breaking his silence. The events have been shocking and devastating, Keith Papini says. My current focus is on moving on and doing everything I can to provide my 2 children with as normal, healthy, and happy of a life as possible. Sherry's sister is also denouncing her. My sister is deeply disturbed. Sadly, despite what she has expressed to the media, she feels no remorse or guilt for the untold damage she has caused.
When missing mother, referred to at the time as Supermom, Sherry Papini reappeared just 3 weeks after mysteriously vanishing in 2016, many people called it a miracle. But even though police were holding their cards very close to the vest, not everyone was buying that story. There was widespread speculation that she might have faked her own abduction and that she was the real-life Gone Girl. I covered this case in depth on my podcast, Mystery and Murder, Analysis by Dr. Phil, which is why I'm so passionate about this, because I've really dug into it. So if you're finding this interesting and you want to know more about it, you can check that out. But listen to what goes on here when she's responding to this, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
It's 100% James's DNA.
We even collected blonde hairs from the room.
There's no way it's James. There's no way.
Tell me that it is.
Why are you saying it's not James? Why are you saying it's not?
He loved me.
What's that?
We were friends. There's no way.
And he came and got you because you asked him.
No.
When was the last time you had contact with James?
His brother died.
Brother died in 2017. Is that right?
I don't remember.
Was it before or after the abduction? Before.
When was the last time you saw James?
I don't know. Forever ago, when I lived in Southern California.
So the last person-to-person contact you had with him was back in 2006? When you were living in Southern California?
I don't know.
So was it prior to your marriage?
It's him. There is no way it's him.
Well, it is James.
The DNA tells us that it was his DNA on you.
Her ego got in her way because you would never have let her talk to law enforcement, would you?
Nope, because I've been practicing quite some time, and the fish who kept his mouth shut never got caught, you know? Keep your mouth shut. What are you doing? And then ultimately she was properly charged with lying to them.
One of the things I found interesting is how, with you guys, she tried to own the narrative by answering questions that weren't asked as a way of deflection. Like you would say, we've talked to James, the ex-boyfriend. He told us he branded you. She
His
says,
DNA all over her clothing.
His DNA.
She hasn't seen him in years, but it's right there on.
But yet you say you haven't seen him since 2007. So you've either worn that same sweatshirt for the last 20 years or you're lying. And her response is, it can't be him. It can't be him, as though you're telling me he's the one that abducted me. No, that's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that the two of you did this together. And she, of course, lied to him and told him he was helping her escape an abusive husband, right?
That's correct.
Did you ever charge the ex-boyfriend with anything?
No, we did not.
He was duped.
He was definitely duped.
When all of this is going on, what are you guys thinking?
Well, it's hard. I mean, it's a lot of effort went in this case. So at one part of it was we're elated that we finally got to the end of the road, but the fact that we had to go through this many resources and deal with this much lying and trickery and stuff, it was disappointing. I mean, it was a gut puncher.
Yeah. All right, coming up, we got a surprising message from Sherry's mother, Loretta. She says she's been silent, but now she's ready to expose her daughter's lies. We'll hear what she had to say next. I think that's a good example of how this kind of lying, this kind of creating drama just keeps on wreaking havoc.
There is a bizarre new twist in the mystery of kidnapped jogger Sherry Papini. 14 years ago, her mom told police that Sherry, then 21, had been harming herself and blaming it on the mother. The mom called the cops because she wants advice on how to handle the situation, according to a just-released police log. Another embarrassing police report also reveals that in 2000, Sherry's father told authorities he believed Sherry had vandalized his home. That same day, Sherry's sister reported that her back door had been kicked in, and she believed Sherry was responsible.
All right, well, Sherry Papini's mother, Loretta, reached out to us. She said now that her daughter has been sentenced, she's ready to speak out. She says neither she nor Sherry's father ever abused her. Sherry's history of claiming she had been abused led detectives to believe she was not only a pro at lying, but also at playing the victim. You can see an example of her doing both in this clip.
Might as well get it out of your head that James is not involved, because James is clearly involved, and James already told us he's the one that did the brand.
That's something that he admitted to. He admitted to a felony. You can put him in prison over.
Now it's your opportunity to say, were there issues between you and Keith? Is that why you needed to leave?
James said you had your jaw broken by him, and that's why he came and got you, because you were in an abusive relationship.
I love my husband.
So, were you in an abusive relationship with him? And you go tell James that you were being hurt, you were being abused, and you couldn't come forward because Keith has friends in law enforcement. Is that true? Has Keith ever been abusive towards you?
We're not talking about my husband. I love my husband.
Well, Sherry's mom, Loretta, couldn't join us because she said the stress of being painted as an abuser has just taken such a toll that it has landed her in the hospital. And I think that's a good example of how this kind of lying, this kind of creating drama just keeps on wreaking havoc. Like you say, gut punch. People don't think about the sacrifices, in addition to not being available to answer legitimate calls, resources absorbed when you could have been doing something else. You guys took time away from family. Holidays were sacrificed because you're out looking and in the field.
And how many Latino women were stopped, questioned, harassed? How many other people, when you've got the Jussie Smolletts and the runaway brides, when they name people of a particular class, a particular race, how they get scrutinized? I think the ripple effect is enormous, and I don't think it was reflected in her sentence.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there was a dollar amount associated with this that probably was very conservative, but she has to pay back almost $250,000, right?
Over that, yes.
Yeah.
We expended, over $100,000 just that we know of, not to, account for all the time these guys thought about this case. I can tell you there was countless times, I'd wake up at 3 in the morning and we'd be racking our brains, not being able to sleep. And I'm glad you actually brought that up about the officers involved. And you can see in one of these tapes, one of the lead investigators, trying to impress upon her how much we're on her side, that she can trust us, that he starts to well up in tears because of the stress of her being gone and us trying to find her, you know, was pretty incredible. You know, when I watched that, it choked me up the first time I saw it, but she had, you know, it didn't matter to her. She just kind of grinned when the officer was talking to her and his eyes were welling up with tears.
Coming up, while Sherry was still missing, investigators discovered that she had been secretly texting not one but two men behind her husband's back, and she planned to meet up with one right before she disappeared. Well, what did they think when they discovered that? We'll talk about that when we come back.
He helped give her some of the injury, but she did a lot of it to herself. She was committed.
When did you know?
There has been a dramatic new development in a case in California that made international headlines years ago. A woman who admits that she faked her own kidnapping agreed yesterday to plead guilty to charges of lying to federal officers and mail fraud. Sherry Papini faces potential prison time and more than $300,000 in restitution.
Sherry described her assailants as two Hispanic female adults.
According to the FBI, she accused the women of brutally torturing her.
She specifically picked out a gender and a race to name as the suspect. So any Hispanic woman at that time, I'm sure, is getting an eyebrow raised and looking in there wondering, wonder if she could be connected or one of the suspects.
The FBI said its investigation indicated it was all an expensive hoax by Papini, costing taxpayers more than $230,000.
More than 5 years after her disappearance made national headlines, Sherry Papini was sentenced to 18 months in prison for her crimes. But her story isn't over. On January 28th, Lifetime will air Hoax, the kidnapping of Sherry Papini. Now, Sherry probably thought, well, at least she's going to be the hero of the movie version of her life. Seriously. But looks like that's not exactly how it's going to come across. Take a look.
Ripped from the headlines.
Keith, your wife has been missing for 5 days.
I'm coming, honey. I love you.
Breakfast?
Yes, please.
A Lifetime original movie.
Did you have an issue with mental health?
What do you mean?
Do it. I deserve it.
Sherry, is it true that you faked it?
I would just really like to have this all put behind me forever.
Hoax, the kidnapping of Sherry Papini. Premieres Saturday, January 28th at 8 on Lifetime.
Not sure that's going to get her a lot of endorsement deals. When she reappeared, she was pretty beat up.
Oh, yes. Really bad. I mean, it was actually shocking. And I've seen a lot of injuries in my career, but she had some shocking injuries.
A chain around her waist and around her wrist. And she had zip ties on her hands, gouged and burn marks. And then we have photo of her in her hospital bed. You can see that she is emaciated. She was down to, 87 pounds? Turns out she got hit with a hockey puck.
She would have the boyfriend actually knock hockey pucks into her and then use the stick to roll down her skin to create bruising. And then he described how she would just run into walls and throw herself on the ground to create more injuries.
And then we've got the brand. And there was, did that say something?
We believe it says Exodus, but you can't read the actual letters.
Yeah. And this was with a wood burning kit?
Yeah, she instructed him to go to Hobby Lobby and buy a wood burning kit in order to do this.
Yeah, and he said he didn't do all of this. She did it to herself, except for the wood burning.
He helped give her some of the injuries, and of course this particular brand, but she did a lot of it to herself. She was committed.
Yeah, I mean, that's sick.
Yeah, and just so we're clear, you mentioned she got 18 months in prison. We're talking about federal prison, and there's layers to that. There's a camp where non-violent offenders like her are probably held. So she gets to go to a camp. She won't do 18 months. You do a year or a year and a halfway house. You take 15% off for good behavior at a camp. So someone who wanted to kind of leave the world gets rewarded by leaving the world, it just doesn't make any sense.
How much is she likely to do, Mark?
In an actual prison, if we're going to call a camp a prison, because it's not 6 months maybe, the rest in a halfway house, it's not much punishment. And if the state system had handled it candidly, I think she would have gotten more time. I think the time would have been more severe. I just don't think that she got what she deserved.
Yeah. And the husband stayed with her for a couple of years, right?
Yes.
And has now filed for divorce?
He has, yeah.
And custody?
Yes, he has.
Did he get custody?
Right now, he has custody, yes.
Okay. Well,
And they're still going through, all that. But he stayed with her, and again, it's because she was convincing. She convinced him that now we were all the liars, and we were just using these interview tactics to get her to say something that wasn't the truth.
When did you know?
There was a point in 2017 that with this case that she was a turning point for me, and that was an interview that she did with a forensic interviewer, and all of a sudden all these new facts just started to come out that she just happened to remember. And one of those things, in the office, I quoted, or we call it the Jason Bourne incident, where all of a sudden out of the blue, she attacks one of the abductors and gives us this incredible story of this fight that she did, shoving
when she hurt her foot?
When she hurt her foot, and shoving the abductor's head into the toilet and during this fight. But of course, she couldn't remember anything because she never saw a face. But that was just incredible to me, and that was really probably a big turning point for me. That hey, there's something wrong in this case.
Yeah, they found 2 contacts in her phones that had phony names on them, like girls' names on them. That turned out to be guys.
Correct. There was actually a person that she was trying to meet up with the night before she went missing. That was coming into town, but it just didn't work out.
When supermom Sherry Papini vanished while jogging near her California home in November 2016, her family enlisted the help of private investigator Bill Garcia. Now, Bill worked for Sherry's family, trying to solve the mystery of her disappearance, and he says Sherry is the first person who ever had him fooled in his entire career, and he joins us now virtually. Bill, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Bill, when you got involved, you believed that she, in fact, had been abducted. What made you believe that this was true?
Well, initially, all of the evidence that was being presented to the public indicated that she was likely kidnapped or taken against her will. And that's why we traveled up to Redding and decided to launch an investigation of our own to try and ascertain what had happened to Sherry.
And when you found out that this, in fact, was a hoax, and you look back, was there something out of sync?
Well, our biggest concern was the fact that the earbuds were found coiled up on top of the phone, sitting on a tuft of grass where it could easily be seen from the road. We typically get involved in missing children and abducted children cases. And in this case, we got involved because here were 2 small children who were missing their mother. So I felt compelled that we needed to help in whatever way we could. The law being what it is, law enforcement did a tremendous job, but they're not able to share with us a lot of information. We have to gain our information from other sources and our own investigation. So we always place that earbud part in the back of our brain to kind of let us know that, hey, there may be something funny here. It wasn't until after she was charged that we learned what the truth was.
So it was just an absence of evidence, I suppose. You didn't have much to react to until she reappeared. Mark said he flew all the way here to find out why I think she did it. So when we come back, I'm going to tell you why I think she did this. what drove it, why she did it, why she thought she could get away with it. We'll be right back. I want to tell you, I went into this field of psychology because I've been fascinated with human behavior all my life. And when I look at people, I first try to figure out what's their currency, because everybody has a different currency. And this woman, in my opinion, had a huge problem with entitlement. I saw it in Chris Watts, the family annihilator that killed his 2 beautiful babies and murdered his pregnant wife. And people said, why didn't he just get a divorce? Well, he didn't just get a divorce because he didn't want that trouble. He just wanted to hit the reset button and wipe the slate clean and be able to start fresh with this lover he had. He was narcissistic enough to think he could do that and nobody would ever question it. And here, I truly think this woman played this movie in her mind and thought other people that had been abducted and came back and were famous and admired and had all of this adulation from people, but what courage she had for surviving. And I think she pieced this together and thought, I'm out here living this life that is so mundane, but I know how to get world famous. And I think her plan all along was, this is it. This is my jump to stardom. She just wasn't getting enough attention in her life. She wasn't getting enough payoff, wasn't getting enough currency. She was just taking this up to the next level. So I think this was just a very selfish, narcissistic, immature play. And she got caught by some very diligent, relentless police officers that kept working. And they took the time to be sure they weren't blaming a victim. And since she pled, she's still telling people she was kidnapped.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Sherry has begun her prison sentence and is currently an inmate at a medium security federal prison in San Bernardino County. So that's where she is, and probably not for very long. And I'm interested to see what she does next. I will promise you have not heard the last from Sherry Papini. I'll be interested to see what Act 2 or 3 or 4, whatever it is next. I want to thank my guest today. Mark, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Retired Shasta County Sheriff's Officer, Captain Pat Cropholler, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
If you can't get enough of this story, check out my true crime podcast, Mystery and Murder, an analysis by Dr. Phil. Both Mark and Pat are guests, and there are so many more fascinating details we dig into that you just couldn't make up if you tried, unless you're Sherry Papini, that is. Go check it out. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.
Happened to me and with a friend earlier today, and I brought it up in chat, and everybody was like, "Yeah, that makes sense." I said to him, like, "I just have that reputation, do I?" And he was like, "Yes." And then I brought it up in chat, and everyone in chat was like, "Yes." It's like, okay, great, whatever. For Lewd and Food, the classic Lumpling podcast. So true. All right. How much more? How much more minutes? I speak of English really well. 6 more minutes. Let this come to when the when the rolls come out of the oven, this is going in the oven. And I kind of didn't follow the directions properly. Shocker, I know. When it comes to a food, a cooking-based thing, I follow directions much more loosely. But we all know this by now. I was supposed to put a little flour in to help thicken it up. That didn't happen. So what's going to happen is I'm just not going to put all the juices in tomorrow. But my plan for tomorrow, hi Towie, welcome back. How was the gym? Didn't follow directions. Never. Not with cooking. We can get somewhere. So tomorrow, citrus flan. Tomorrow, a batch of pinoli cookies. Mush. Good mush. Good mush. Hell yes, bitch. I went to boot camp yesterday. And my hips, I need to do some hip openers. Because my hips are on my knee, apparently. Oh, Lord. Boot camp killed me. We're going to make the crust for the pie. It's going to be like a bit of a short crust with like some mustard powder in it. And then we're going to make a blue cheese biscuit, like American style biscuit top with some mustard in it too. Lumply, I sass Towie, less chewed out, more sass. Yeah, because you get sass. Some mods need to get, almost all mods get chewed out. But you get sass because you deserve a little sass. That's your wheelhouse. Alki gets some sass too. Don't get us wrong here. But Alki likes sass. For once, it's not me. That's true. For once. VIPs rule, mods rule. It sounds like India really is gunning to be a mod. Wow. Knew that was coming. Don't you love that? So at Daniel Matt's stream, I haven't been there in a little while, long enough, but it used to be a thing where they talk about deleting. Don't be offended if your message gets deleted. If it even seems even slightly like it could give some kind of thought process to Daniel, we'll delete it just so because he'll read into everything. So I say, so I will always say when that comes up, I've only been deleted for mod abuse. And then JC will delete my message. It is how we do things over there. Nah, I could be someone. Be someone. Be someone. Oh, it's already looking good. Ooh. No more salt. It's very good. We're just going to let this get... Because also the bacon has salt in it. So we don't need... We saw nothing. The inevitable. The inevitable. Taunt the mods. That's what you get. Tracy Chapman's voice is definitely the superb, superior voice on this. 100% agree. 100% agree. Gentle. Yeah, he's a good one. Ooh, and in bed. Oh my. We love JC. I just came back from their house, Ara. I was with them for like almost a week, from Friday to Wednesday, and I had a really amazing time hanging out with them. It was really, really nice. All right, let me look at this one more time. Let me take the just so I know I'm doing this right. Remove the pan from the oven. All right, no more extra. Okay. Oh my. Oh my. All right, so when these come out, we're going to put some, excuse me. All right. We're almost done here, chat. No falling, please. While we wait for the last minute, I'm going to put these in the freezer. I now have shrimp shells in the freezer as well, so I'm going to have to make a vegetable fit shrimp stock at some point. Who's ready? Anybody ready for some rolls? Timer! Ooh, excuse me. All right. Put this back in the freezer so we have stock things. The shrimp are in food I made. I'll post the pictures in Discord. Oh. They did not suffer. They were enjoyed fully. All right, let's brush some butter on these babies. These look freaking phenomenal, and I'm very freaking excited. Oh, we gotta butter the buns, baby. You gotta butter the buns. All right. That's mine right there. We're gonna let this sit for like I think it said 15 minutes. And we're gonna go raid. I know exactly who we're raiding. We are raiding Lena Moon. She's doing a fundraiser, subathon type stream to raise money for putting on her Adelaide Fringe Festival show and something else. So come hang out. Somebody. Let me actually open her stream so that. All right.